Doki doki ooh woo. All my heart's for you, my wonderful fiance, Seamus.
Hello, friends! Happy Sunday. Welcome to the kitchen. We friggin' made it. The universe was conspiring against me for today's stream, but we made it. We did. Have I got things to tell you guys? Bundt cake. Yeah, so it's a pound cake, okay? It is a pound cake. It is a pound cake. Hi, Alvavarg. Hi, Kags. Hi, Cornwand. Hi, Pepperoni. You're not first, Pepperoni. Hi, Miri. Miri, thank you so much for the resubscription. I really appreciate it. Hello, Bedroll. Hello, Seamus. Hello, Suspenders. Hello, Carrie. Hello, Kags. Welcome in, welcome in. Cake is cake to you. Fair. 16-ounce cake, right, Carrie? Congratulations, by the way, to Seamus for being the official first. Carrie is our official second, and Suspenders is our official third today. Yeah, so, well, first of all, I think I normally have this tilted down. It's been a morning. It has been a morning into an afternoon. First and foremost, the title of today's stream, okay? I tried to put that we are making a pound cake. Like, literally, and this is where the recipe comes from. Yes, it's a napkin that I saved that was never used. It is a pound cake. Okay, it is a pound cake. But Twitch does not like the word pound, apparently, in your title. And it would not let me set my title to Bake With Me Lemon Lime Pound Cake. As soon as I changed it to Bundt, it was fine. Twitch auto mod, like, go sit on it and twist, okay? Like, seriously here. Get off of the table, Hera. Get off of there. I don't care if it's a, you guys have to see this. I don't care if it's a box. You don't belong on the table. Get down. Get down. She doesn't understand, clearly. Anyways. If she fits, she sits, seriously. Or a 0.4 kilogram cake, yeah. Twitch is anti-baking, Mary, I agree. So, yeah, anyways, they wouldn't let me put it as a pound cake. And that is wrong, in my opinion, because pound cake is a very, like, specific term for cakes that are baked in loaf pans half the time, or in bundt pans, or in cake dishes. And I think, I haven't researched it. I haven't had the chance to go down that ADHD wormhole yet. I'm pretty sure it has to do with how the crumb of the cake is and the way you do the ingredients for why it is specifically a pound cake. So I'm probably gonna find a place where I can email Twitch and either request that pound cake be an okay phrase, because that is what I'm making. Like, it's legitimately a thing. It's not something that should be auto-modded. Or B, we need to have a little thing that pops up and says, I wish to take the risk, let me have the title, right? And I'll take the risk of responsibility for picking a title that doesn't conform with their safety TOS, because guarantee you nobody's gonna flag me for having pound cake in my title when I am baking a pound cake. You know? Thank you for the lurk, Alphavarg. I thought it was because the ingredients were a pound of each or something. There's definitely not a pound of each ingredients in here, but there is a lot. I'm not sure why it's a pound cake. Dova, you're streaking. Let's go. Thank you. Hello, Dova. How are you? So yeah, that was the first thing this morning that I was like, you have got to be kidding me. Outside of daylight savings time being what it is and insomnia being what it is. So my body finally got out of bed at 11:30 this morning, when it should have been 10:30, but daylight savings time is what daylight savings time is, which is annoying. We need to just abolish it and go back to standard time, which is what we had before we decided to put daylight savings time into place. Thank you, Canada, for starting this shitty trend. Okay, Canadians did it first in 1908. And I don't appreciate this. I don't appreciate this one, Canada, okay? And then Germany and Austria-Hungary followed, and then we decided to jump on board And then, you know, more of the European nations came onto it. Standard Time was good enough for us just over 100 years ago for quite a long time. Standard Time is good enough for us in the future. Abolish daylight savings time, okay? That is my platform. Thank you for coming to my TED Talk. No more daylight savings time. Just had a nice shower and picked up a baby shower gift today. Oh, that's so exciting, Dova. You're all messed up from time change. You did get to bed late and you got up early. Yep, exactly, Carrie. BC is getting rid of it this year. Good for BC. And I know a lot of people are like, I want to stay on daylight savings time because we get more time in the evening when it's sunny. I hear you, but in what world do you need it to be light out until 10 p.m.? Okay, 9 p.m. is perfectly acceptable. I, on the other hand, would like to line up with the international time zone lines, the date lines. I think they're called date lines on the globe. B, I don't want to have to make Alaska and Hawaii and any other place in the North American continent that doesn't practice daylight savings time have to change their clocks because we decide that daylight savings time is somehow better. And C, for those of us with spicy brain like myself that relies on dopamine, the sun coming through the window in the morning is literally what helps me get up and out of bed. If you stay permanently on daylight savings time in the winter, instead of me starting to get sunlight around maybe 7 o'clock in the morning, it won't happen until 8, and it's gonna make it that much harder for me to get up in the morning because you would like an extra hour of sunlight on your day, which yes, I agree, it does suck in the winter when we're at the shortest days and it's getting light out closer to like 7:30 in the morning and it gets dark out between 3:30 and 4 o'clock in the evening. But even if you shift it by a little bit, by that hour, you're still not getting sunlight that you can go use in the winter if you work a standard like banker's hour job, right? Because you're probably at work from either 8 to 4:30 or 8 to 5 or 9 to 5. Like, you're probably not really seeing usable sunlight anyways. So for the love of everything, please don't screw up the neurospices circadian rhythms and don't mess up where we are with the international timelines, and don't screw up Alaska and Hawaii because you would like an extra hour that you can't even use. Ontario won't get rid of it until New York or Quebec agrees. New York needs to get on this shit. Hi, crazy guy. Welcome in. How are you? Finally watched the video from work. It's very strange watching it happen. I wish I could remember what video you were talking about, Carrie. I feel like I should know. I don't care which one we stay in, just stop changing. Yeah, I have big feelings about which one we stay in, Miri, but the big thing is we need to stop changing. It's stupid. It's stupid. We did it not for the farmers. That is a common misconception. We did it for energy conservation during the wars, so that people going into an office or whatever, we were in the office during more of like the daylight hours. We don't need it anymore. We have very viable electricity. It is not a problem. It needs to just go away. Back to standard time. The hand injury. Gotcha. Gotcha. Yeah, I bet that was weird. Allie, thank you for the resubscription, friend. I hope you're doing well. Insert pounding jokes here. I love your face, Allie. I love your face. Cornwan, thank you for the streak. I appreciate you. Mostly healed now, just need the scar tissue to thin out. Yeah, and scar tissue will only thin by working it. But I believe in you. So here in Australia, we usually have 3 time zones. When daylight savings kicks in, we have 7. That's ridiculous, suspenders. That is ridiculous. Again, get rid of it. It is nothing but a nuisance. Standard time for everybody. Standard time for everybody. You're streaking for cake. You know, that's a good thing to streak for. That is a good thing to streak for. Yeah, I am so over daylight savings time. And we're only on the first day of it and I'm already over it. And here's the really big thing. I will continue to, I know we're gonna have this until November, which is insane. I will continue to struggle through like all of the summer with my sleep cycle. And then we'll fall back and I will have a little bit of an easier time dealing with my sleep cycle. Like I feel more rested when we're not on daylight savings time, which just goes to show you some of our bodies do react to this and not for the better. Not for the better. Why? Why are we crying? Why are we crying, Smeagol? Yeah, I hear you. You already had your lunch. Yeah, you did. If you're still hungry, there are dry crunchies in the other room. Thank you for getting your daily self-care check-in. Ilana, welcome in. How are you? I hope you're doing well. Last order of tea, because I told you I had piping hot tea to share with you guys, and it is the main reason why at this point I am later than I anticipated. I got a comment on my latest YouTube video today, Ode to Tanglewood, that said, hey, did you realize that your live videos are being used as the background in AI slop on somebody else's channel? And I was like, no, I did not. I sure did not. Can you give me a link? And they provided me the video, like they couldn't put a link in the comment, but they provided me the video title. They provided me the person who put the video up. And I went and looked and I reported the video that they told me about. And then I went to their channel only to find out that there's like a dozen videos where what they have done is taken my live feed that has gone up to my VODs page and put it in and then overlaid what they want on top of it. So you get neither my video nor their artwork in full visual range. And then it's an AI voice reading a story that they claim to have written themselves. I don't know how much I believe that they actually wrote this video or this story when they're stealing other content to avoid copyright detection in general, because that's all I can think of is that they've probably stolen the artwork or the story or something else. And so they're doing this to avoid some sort of copyright detection. So I don't know who this kind stranger was on YouTube that reached out and noticed this. I don't know how they found me. I'm assuming it's because this person had my starting soon screen in there and it's got all of my socials. But they did comment and I'm really grateful. So I don't know who the person is that reported it, but like big hearts to you. And to the person who is stealing all of the content, go fuck yourself. So far, like I told my Set the Tone teammates about it, a couple of them have already reported the channel. I know I'm gonna have to do a more in-depth report than just reporting the channel for stealing things, because they ideally want you to report each video that has content so that they can cross-reference it. And I'm probably gonna have to write an email because it's not just my stuff from the looks of it. There's other stuff in the background of videos previously, but it's dog shit, it's disgusting. And that really occupied my brain for a little bit. And there was a moment where I was like, do I even bother to still go live? Or do I just put my butter, which has been sitting out to warm up, away and deal with this and like just let my brain occupy? And I was like, nope, I want cake. I want cake. Right? It's super nasty, Miri. It's super nasty. I managed the time change better by having zero plans is a good idea. I also considered not streaming today because of the time change. What the hell? Highlight Wraith, welcome into Tea Time with Saknika, where somebody has decided to steal my videos, basically. My live videos, my VODs, they stole my VODs. You can see me clearly in the background at my desktop doing like the opening chatter. The one that the person reported to me was when I was doing Ascent 7 with suspenders. And it's got the starting soon screen, it's got all of our opening chatter time, and then it goes into where I have opened Peak and we are in the lobby. So it just took the first part of the stream and just stuck it in their video. You're gonna have to claim copyright claim through your creative thing. Yup, exactly. That's what I started with the first video, Miri. And then I realized that there's like 10 or 11 others, and I'm gonna have to go through and copyright strike each individual one. And I have to look at each one to see which video it's got underlaid so that I can then tell YouTube what it's looking at. And then I am going to email YouTube and just be like, hey, this creator has taken so much of my stuff and there's other videos with presumably other people's stuff in the background. that I don't know whose it is. I don't know where it came from, but this whole channel needs to just be taken down. Like, the whole channel needs to just be gone, in my opinion. You want to steal? Consequences. There are consequences to your actions. My first inkling that AI was becoming a problem was when I noticed the ambient music scene suddenly blew up. Channels just created a month ago with 35 videos. Yeah, it is kind of crazy, isn't it, Dova? Never let the trolls keep you from having cake. Facts, Opal. Big facts, and I'm not going to. That's insane, guess. That means you, right, Light Wraith? I made it! Not in the way I wanted to make it, but I made it. Sorry you have to deal with, thank you, Kags. Thank you, Wraith. Yeah. It is, it's gonna be quite the experience when I am done baking this cake to go through and deal with that. And you know what the crazy thing is I thought to myself, I was like, I told Set the Tone. I haven't posted it in the EBGG channels yet. If I think Set the Tone is upset, EBGG tends to, like, they really organize the pitchforks and the torches when somebody does egregious wrongs. So I'm like, well, I definitely will have plenty of people in my court willing to push the envelope for me of, let's go, YouTube. You know what the right thing to do is. Let's go. Hi, Emmy Wifey. Welcome in. Yeah, gotta nuke them from orbit. Exactly. I need a space laser to come down and just wipe that channel off the face of the internet. And hopefully, whoever it is that set this channel up is not allowed to create another YouTube channel thusly. Hopefully, it bars them via IP address and not just email address. Because I would hate to see them do this to somebody else. And I know, like, I am more than pretty sure that the content they are reading is copyright, because in some of the comments on there, you can see people talking about having come from a web novel or wanting to go actually read the web novel or whatever. So I really think that this is some serious copyright shit going on. And my videos are being implicated in it in a way. So there's gonna be quite the flurry of activity from yours truly post-stream, but at least I will have cake to go with it once I make it. Thank you for getting your daily self-care check-in. Make sure you have remixing disallowed maybe too. Yeah, and I have to double check what my settings are, but there's a big difference between remixing and just carte blanche stealing stuff. And I'm pretty sure even with like Creative Commons licenses and stuff, if you don't like how they're using your content, you have the right to say, nope, that is not how I would like you to represent me and my content. So I'm pretty sure I have legal standing for it. But I'm gonna have to double check all of my settings, because it's also a case of, if I completely disallow sharing of my content, nobody could go in and make clips, which if you're coming into my content, I'm going to say this right now, if you're coming into my content and you see something interesting that happened and you're trying to highlight a specific effect or something that's going on, like this streamer had this problem and then this streamer had this problem and this streamer had this problem, and you're like trying to highlight where multiple people have been struggling with a bug or getting screwed by environment spawning suitcases on top of each other in peak or what have you, and somebody uses my content for something like that with accreditation, which I think is part of a Creative Commons license, I have no problem with that. But this is scumbag behavior. Hi Sparkly, welcome in. How are you? So I do have to double check what the license requires. I'm pretty sure it requires accreditation though, which is not happening, and go from there. So it's gonna be interesting and it's gonna be exciting, and it is exactly not what I was expecting for my Sunday to entail. Was not what I was expecting my Sunday to entail. I'm spicy today, Sparkly, because lots of lots of things happened today on top of daylight savings time. We just had tea time. The TLDR is somebody has taken my VODs and put them under their AI slop on YouTube, and I get to go report a whole bunch of shit. So I am spicy. Yay, spicy. SCP stories fall under Creative Commons, and yes, you do have to credit the author. There it is, Opal. There's no accreditation in these videos. 0. In fact, the whole channel claims that it's all their original content, so there's the biggest lie of them all. Clips is so helpful for content creators, especially when they are given the credit for their media. Exactly, Kags, exactly. And that's why I would like to allow it too. Because if you're crediting me and you happen to have a larger audience than I do, that is only to my benefit. That is only to my benefit, so long as I haven't done something to really put egg on my face. Which, lucky for me, I have behaved enough to not put egg on my face. Not that I ever would, but it's that back of the mind subconscious thing of what millennial thing is no longer allowed anymore that I'm gonna make a faux pas about, and then everybody's gonna be like, oh, you canceled. I read several on stream. I had a little credit card for each one, and that is perfect, Opal. That is perfect. The only thing I've ever read on stream is stuff that is no longer under copyright. It's in the public domain. The public domain. Opal handing out credit cards, right, Miri? But I know what she means. Or they mean, they both. It can be either. I'm looking at the pronoun. Bundy the Hot, thank you so much for the raid. Welcome on in, Raiders. My name is Saknika, but you may also hear me called Sam. I am a member of Everbreak Global Gaming and Set the Tone stream teams here on Twitch, and a variety streamer who does everything from bake to create to paint your nails and play games. But today, we're in the kitchen because we're going to be making a lemon lime pound cake, despite what Twitch will allow me in my title, a pound cake. Once I get done flapping my jaw. How are you? How was your stream? Welcome in. Hello, Ash. Did you bring them here, Ash? I recognize that name. Hello, Hungry Not Hangry. Hi, Nuki. I recognize Nuki too. Hello, Bundy. I do not love cooking, Ash. I love baking. Thank you for the follow. How was my voice zoo? How was that, Bundy? You guys, I have not met Bundy, but I know Nukima and I know Ash. And if they're hanging out with Bundy, Bundy's probably good people. So definitely give them a check, give them a look-see. I will be looking after stream. It was chaos, absolutely chaos. I love chaos. I love chaos. Yeah, cooking is not baking. It's not baking. I would like to not hate cooking, but at present, I hate cooking, but I'll bake all day long. All about the chaos. I'm here for it. Bundy is very good people. I had a feeling, Ash. I had a feeling. Cooking is superior to baking. You can do the cooking, Ash. I will do the baking. And then we don't have to worry about which is superior. Nicest thing you have ever said to me, Ash. I see Ash treats you the way he treats all of his friends. Nah, fam. Cooking is art, baking is chemistry. I've actually heard that baking is not chemistry. Cooking is chemistry because you are using things to get specific reactions too. But it's also an art. So they changed it to cooking is science, baking is religion. Because we have all these rules around baking and nobody knows why they exist, they just follow them. Nuki's doing the cooking. Okay, fair. I mean, you guys could collaborate. I enjoy my baking workshops at the museum, but you do not like cooking. Miri, you and I are twinsies. I would like to take baking workshops at a museum. That sounds cool as heck. That sounds cool as heck. Bundy, also, by the way, I really appreciate the raid, but before I forget, if you need to raid and run, if you need to get your post-stream self-care, if you need to go take a giant, nap, or get a meal, or take the dog out, anything that you need to do, please do not feel obligated to stay here, but if you would like to stay and hang out, you are, of course, welcome, and that goes for all of your raiders, too. That goes for all of your raiders, too. I literally forgot what I was talking about. Oh, right. We were talking about AI slop and copyright problems because people are jackasses on YouTube. That's what you came into. But it really, like, we're also a half hour in. That those numbers are so tiny. They're so tiny. We probably should think about baking, eh? So this recipe, okay, funny enough, this recipe, I can tell you it came from Easter 1 year because there it is. Okay, it is literally on the napkin, which means my aunt bought them. I don't know where she got them. I don't know why she picked them. But I kept one of the napkins that didn't get used so that I could have the recipe, and I've never transcribed it and I've never made it. So let me tell you what, trying to write it out for Discord last night was real interesting because in not great lighting, this napkin is actually kind of hard to read. Right? It's super cute. It's super cute, Nuki. So for a lemon lime pound cake, which makes approximately 16 servings, you're gonna need 3 sticks of butter. And for those of you who are not in the States with sticks, that's 1.5 cups. Because each stick is a half a cup. You're gonna want it softened a little bit. Should type that up before something I did. It is now typed up, Opal, in my Discord, so I do have it typed. I shared your tip for softening butter faster with a friend this weekend. I'm like, I learned things from baking streams. That is amazing, Mary. I'm so excited about that. If you are looking for the weight, each stick of butter is 113 grams, so you need 339 grams of butter. I will have 0 other weights for you, but at least with the butter, I can tell you that. You need 3 cups of sugar, just granulated, 5 whole eggs, large preferably, 3 cups of all-purpose flour, half a teaspoon of salt. Now, there is a conversion for the flour on the... Actually, I think there's a conversion for everything in the King Arthur's Baker's Companion. I'll convert things when I make my cookbook. Half a teaspoon of salt, 1 cup of 7-Up. So if you don't have 7-Up, you can probably use like Sprite or any other lemon lime flavored soda, okay? It's a lemon lime flavored carbonated beverage, and I think the carbonation is important to this recipe. But you also need 1 tablespoon of lemon zest and 1 tablespoon of lime zest. So Seamus got me lemons and limes. Seamus is the man because I decided I was making this in the middle of like chill time last night around 8 p.m. And I was like, if I wanted to bake this tomorrow, would you go to the grocery store for me? And he said yes. It makes it fluffy. That's what I figure, Mary. For the icing, we're gonna need 2 cups of powdered sugar, sifted, which is in my cabinet still. I will swap out when it's time to make the icing. 1/4 teaspoon of salt, 1 tablespoon of lemon zest, dried for at least 30 minutes. So we will zest these and then let them, just start to dry. 1 tablespoon of lime zest, also dried for 30 minutes. At least. 1 tablespoon of lemon juice, 1 tablespoon of lime juice. So we'll juice these bad boys into dishes. And then 1 tablespoon of water or more, depending on the consistency you would like for your icing. So start with 1 and then add a little bit more to thin it out as you go. If you need to. He actually said for a pound cake, I'll go now if you want. He did. And I was like, you don't need to go to the grocery store at 9 o'clock at night. Tomorrow morning is fine. I'm not baking until tomorrow. So yeah, I've got all of my ingredients out. My butter has had time to soften. And by soften, it means that you can kind of squeeze it. Like you can see my fingers sinking in, and I don't have to put a lot of effort into it. So that's softened. Room temperature, roughly, so long as your room is around like 70 Fahrenheit, because the temperature of butter matters. It changes how baked goods behave, which is kind of cool. There's very good tolerances to it though. Oh, hey, I hit step goal. There's very good tolerances to it. So the very first thing that this wants us to do, it calls for an electric mixer. If you really want to do this by hand, you could. It's just not as easy. I wouldn't recommend doing it by hand, but you could do it by hand. Gonna need the zester. I will need measuring cups. I will need measuring spoons. We'll just pull stuff out. Well, I've got the drawer open. I'm also gonna need my spatula. All right. In a bowl, we're going to cream together the butter and the sugar. It says with a paddle attachment, my friends. I'm gonna tell you right now, it's easier to cream things with the whisk. It's easier to cream it with the whisk. This goes to show the importance of reading your recipe in full before you start. Yeah, so my butter sticks of choice used to come in foil wrap, and they just started coming in that paper wrap. And the first box of sticks I've had with the red and black spots in the middle of the butter sticks, if you ever had that happen. So not in the middle. And I typically don't find any spots because this is like a parchment-y wax paper, so it doesn't bleed through, but I would suspect that the ink is bleeding and they need to fix their technology. If I have spots on my butter, it's usually because part of the paper has torn and stuck to the butter. You know what I didn't grab out? The garbage can. So that I can toss, oop, out of my way, little stool. I can toss my eggshells and my butter wrappers. Very important. Very important stuff. Yeah, we've had the technology for a while, so I assume that's why it's not something that I've ever really run into. I don't know why it would be an issue in your area, but stranger things have happened. Let me turn this on as well. So 1 stick, 2 stick. And if you are trying to do this by hand or you're using a not stand mixer that's quite as powerful, you can chop this into chunks. I like to follow the little tablespoon markers for chunks to make it a little easier to get it to blend. 3 sticks of butter. And we needed what, 3 cups of sugar? 3 cups of sugar. That's a lot of sugar. This is going to be a very sweet pound cake. This is going to be a very sweet pound cake. Ugh. Get the big guy out. It's on the outside. Flour remnants. Was the first time I've seen them with the paper wrap from this brand. Yeah. I'm assuming that they're going to paper because it's more easily recyclable, question mark. Not sure. I don't see what the big difference between tin and paper would be. The end of that bag. But I have another bag. I also think, nope, other way. This way is where I normally have it when I'm actually baking. There we go. Trying to remember where I put all of my angles is hard sometimes. It's hard sometimes. 3 cups. Close up the sugar. Oh, excuse me. Put it in the bowl. Get the whisk attachment on there and let her rip. That was a little too much excitement to start. Still too much excitement. It'll be fine. It'll be fine. basically just want the centrifugal force to knock the butter out. It may just be optics of looking more eco-friendly. It might be. It might be. It's crazy what people will do to appear more eco-friendly when it's really makes no difference. And if you let this go for a little bit, it will smooth out. It will smooth out. This takes a minute. Like a literal minute. Yeah, and for those who don't know, Seamus really, really likes lemon lime everything. Specifically, he likes citrus. I made a key lime pie once. It was way too like bright and tart for me, but he loved it. He loved it. So when I showed him lemon lime pound cake, he was all for it. Like, this is going to become one of his favorites. It's basically fluffed up, and yeah, you can see it's pretty smooth and stuck into the thing. So let's get it out of here. I'm also pretty sure that this is a variation. I don't know what kind of comedians everybody enjoys, but I found years ago, and I mean, we're going back over a decade now, Jeannie Robertson. She has since passed away. But she was this really well-spoken Southern lady who she basically told stories from life. She probably embellished them at least a little bit. Who was so funny. And she had her husband Left Brain, and I think Left Brain has also since passed. That's what she called him. I don't remember what his actual name was. And she called them 7-Up cakes for when somebody would pass. And there's just this whole story about her sending Left Brain out to get the ingredients so that she could make a bunch and freeze them because she was getting low. And he didn't realize it was a numbered list. So he got like 1 of the first thing and then 2 of the second thing. I think like somewhere down there, the 12th item was flour. So he had gotten 12 bags of flour, and she had made it a numbered list to make it easier for him to go and be quick at the store, and it backfired. It was a very funny story, but I'm pretty sure that this recipe is very similar to the recipe in that skit, in that joke. Which just tickles me. It cracks me up, honestly. Take that off just to make it a little easier to make sure that everything is scraped off the sides. Hi, May. Welcome in. How are you? Yeah, you're set on flour for a while with 12 bags. That is very true. Yeah, that's good and creamed. Give it a little bit of a bowl shape to it. Because now we're going to add the eggs in one at a time. One at a time. I feel like I read that the 7-Up cakes are from the Depression when they used it to make the cake rise when the ingredients were scarce. It's quite possible, Wazo. I'm not sure. So it's a pound cake, Wazo, but Twitch doesn't allow you to put the word pound in your title. They were like, this might be against TOS, and they wouldn't let me set it. So I had to call it a Bundt cake. Tavi has come to watch the baking. Hi, Tavi. At least it wasn't 12 Costco bags of flour. That would be a lot of flour. Yeah, they did that to me, Opal. They did that to me. And, you know, so today is International Women's Day, and there's no better time to talk about this than right now. There's an opportunity through being part of the Twitch Women's Guild to be on the front page shelf that is algorithm based on what you watch will populate what streamers are in that little shelf. for women who are streaming on International Women's Day, and I think it runs for the whole month because this is technically the month for women. Anyways, I digress. You have to sign up to be featured. It's not an automatic thing, but one of the requirements for being featured is to set the auto mod level for your chat to level 2. You guys, we tried level 1 at one point and couldn't hack it because auto mod was catching like everything that you guys were saying. There's no way I could set it to level 2 and not have massive chat disruptions and moderators having to allow like every freaking message. So when I saw that that was one of the qualifying requirements, I said, I'm sorry, I just can't. And that level 2 is exactly what stopped me from putting pound cake in my title. Hi, Cody, welcome in, how are you? The word Twitch should be against Twitch TOS at this point, right, Cody? Hi, Frank, welcome in. Welcome in. You're a little sickly but good, May. Oh, I'm sorry to hear you're sick. I hope you feel better soon. Hopefully the warm weather helps you out. Where was I? Right, eggs. We need 5 eggs. I'm gonna have to part and parcel these eggs out because otherwise I'm gonna forget in chatting with you guys what number egg I'm on. I'm gonna forget what number egg I'm on. 1, 2, 3. No, I want the other side because there's 5 set off to the side over here. Listen, it's an OCD thing. Okay, these are my 5. Those are the 6 that are staying. So far things are well. Your power stopped doing small dips for the time being. That's good, Cody. That's good. Power issues are no fun. Right into the bowl because I trust myself not to end up with a lot of eggshell. But if I do, it's extra calcium for Seamus and I. Just extra calcium. I want you to mix them after each addition. So you basically just want to combine it real fast. Okay, it is combined, even if it doesn't quite look like it. You know what? We're just going to leave it like this. I will crack into the side. Because I am capable. This is number 2. Did I lock it back down? I did. Welcome in, Luna. So Seamus is my fiance. You'll see him in here as Jarl Seamus. I hope you're doing well. Thank you for the lurk, Dova. Enjoy the cake. Once done, I'm going to pass out. I'm going to bed. Absolutely, Bundy. Thank you again for the raid. I really appreciate it. Rest well. Big thanks to Ash for the recommendation. It's very windy here, so the available voltage has briefly changed at times. Ooh. I have a UPS, so I'm protected against it. Most electronics can deal with these issues now, which is so good. Absolutely, Bundy. Absolutely. Yeah, it's good that they've started making electronics that can deal with it. Do you remember? God, here we go. We're going to start dating ourselves without specifying our ages, and we don't need to tell each other what our ages are in chat, for the record. Do you remember when an electrical storm would happen and you needed to unplug things? Because, hi, I remember unplugging the TV and the computer and all sorts of things during an electrical storm, and you couldn't talk on the phone because you might get zapped through the cord. Yep. That's how old I am. That's how old I am. That's number 4. Yeah, number 4. Seamus is the most amazing human being. He should be more appreciated, almost worshipped. Seamus, now you're pushing it. Do you remember electrical storms and issues with electronics during them? Yeah. Yep. You know what's really weird, though, okay? When I grew up, I swear, we had a thunderstorm like 2 or 3 times a month, and at least one of them would be pretty large. And now, and I don't know if it's just because I don't quite live where I did. I'm only a half hour from where I grew up. But we get like 0 thunderstorms, and I personally am offended by this because I like thunderstorms. I find them fun when you're inside and safe. And now I feel like we just don't get them anymore. And I'm very sad. I would like more thunderstorms. I remember, and still sometimes unplug things just because it's habit, right? Get that mixed in. It's number 5. We didn't get lightning storms often, but we had an extra insulated house back when that was a thing. Oh, I didn't know you could do that, Cody. I was not thinking about house things at that point. I just knew what we had to do. All right, that's good and mixed. It's nice and fluffy. It's nice and fluffy. Worship me. You agree? You agree, Kegs? I think it might just be the weather changing with the times and global warming changing. We haven't had near the normal weather this year. And I mean, there's also that, but I also know, I think they said we were in La Nina, because we have the El Nino and the La Nina. So it could also just be that weird cyclical thing that weather does. And as an adult, I'm more cognizant of these changes than as a kid. Or it could also be that as a kid, everything seemed to happen more frequently because child brain does not compute time. The house was a pilot project. Oh, that's kind of cool, Cody. That's kind of cool. All right, let's whack this off. Set it aside. See what the next step is, because I don't know if I'm going to need the whisk or if I'll need the paddle for the next step. I did read ahead, obviously, because I typed it all up in the Discord, which, by the way, if you need the recipe and you want it written down, it is in Discord. You don't have to try to follow along from here to know what we're doing. All right. Combine the flour and salt, then add in 1 cup at a time, mixing after each addition. If you saw what I did the last time it called for 1 cup, you'll know exactly how this is probably going to go. 3 cups of flour. 3 glorious cups of flour. There's actually no such thing as normal weather. It's always shifting patterns. There's certain weather conditions that are more likely than others depending on region, but the weather likes to change its mind. Mother Nature at her finest. You would know though, Cody. You are like the meteorological community member. Like, you guys, Cody literally, at the beginning of his streams, talks about the weather. It's pretty cool. It's pretty fascinating. Okay, that should be about 3 cups. Hey, Scooby, welcome in. How are you? Brandy, hi. How are you, friends? We might be a little over 3 cups, but it'll be fine. We're not so far over that it's going to be detrimental, I don't think. I am, however, covered in flour. Anyways, that's why the washing machine exists. Salt. I use salted butter, but it doesn't call for unsalted butter, so we'll do the entire half a teaspoon. If it specifically calls for unsalted butter, because I only use salted, I will then drop the amount of salt that I put in. But when it doesn't, I assume that you're gonna need the whole teaspoon or half teaspoon or whatever it is. You got your PC set up. Let's go, Brandy. That's amazing. Still waiting. But your original monitor is dead. Oh no! We're not gonna pour this over anything of consequence, because if we should spill it, that would be a problem. This is all going in the same place anyways. Just get the salt mixed in with the flour a little. All right, it wants me to do this in small additions, so I guess we'll do it in small additions. This is technically, in my opinion, 1 cup, even if it contains like 3 cups. But we'll do it. We'll do it what they want. We'll do it what they want, a little at a time. So yes, we are going to the paddle attachment now. It's probably going to be more like half and half-ish. We'll see. Give it a little premix. Because I don't want a flour poof in my face. And that's combined. Do a little more. I'm literally pre-mixing it just to get the loose flour to be dampened by the dough that's in there so that it doesn't fly back into my face. Because I refuse, when I know a KitchenAid shouldn't be doing this, to buy a splash cover when it should just not splash flour back into my face doing this. Bloop. That's the rest of it. That's approximately additions at 1 cup a piece. Close enough. Which I know anybody who is any realm of professional baker cringes when I say that. But it's close enough. Fool has told me that I give him anxiety when I bake sometimes. Which I chuckle at. And I got my karma for it. So Fool adopted, he and Pei adopted a cockroach, and let me just say this, I'm very happy for them, and I'm very happy that they like Bethany and that Bethany is their bae, right? I get creeped out by anything with more than 4 legs. So to me, I will still like the content that Fool posts on Instagram with Bethany. I will still support the raising of Bethany, but I'll be damned if I don't go, oh, every time I see her, because she has more than 4 legs. It has nothing to do with the fact that, like, what Bethany is. I do the same thing with flies. I do the same, especially with like centipedes and millipedes, mealworms, caterpillars. Like, I love butterflies, but they have more than 4 legs. So my very first reaction to butterflies is, whew, it's just a thing. It's just a thing. All right. Into this, we're going to keep the mixer on low and slowly add the 7-Up until combined. So we need 1 cup of 7-Up. You know what? I actually think, where is the little 1 cup measure? It's got to be over here, right? Seamus probably used it for something. Yep, there it is. And washed it. I think this guy will be easier for pouring while this is moving. So we're going to put this down, lock it in. We're going to hope that this is not shook up. It's not. Huzzah. Beautiful. 1 cup. I actually got this little 1 cup measure when I was in my sourdough phase because I needed a smaller thing for doing the water portion. That is indeed 1 cup. Now Seamus and I have some soda for a little bit. We don't normally have soda in the apartment, but that was all he could get. That was 7-Up. All right, so we're gonna turn it on low. And I'm just gonna pour it in. That is a noise. You can tell it's loosening it up though because the beater is going faster. It doesn't have quite the presence of dough load. And I'm going slow so it doesn't splash it back in my face. This is the lowest speed, by the way, for my KitchenAid. This is the lowest speed. All right, let's chip the last of it in. There we go. Give it a really good stir in. Beautiful. That'll definitely add some fluff, all that carbonation. Now we get to zest things. My favorite. I'm gonna need bowls. Yeah, and bowls. I was thinking about which ones I wanted for doing this next part, but these are gonna be the best options. These are gonna be the best options. So zest, juice. Thank you for the lurk, Scooby. I appreciate it. All right. Oh, I can just tug those off. Wonderful. Okay, I could tug the one off. This one's a little bit more of a difficult thing. There we go. There we go. I guess I can just stick them to the packaging. Wow, I've never felt such a smooth lemon in my life. That one's not as smooth. I should probably rinse these first, eh? That one, we're gonna try not to have to zest this one. I think we're gonna need it regardless, but it's gonna be the last one to get zested. I should you know what? Rather than running them underwater, I'm just gonna get a paper towel wet and wipe them down. I think that'll be easier because I want to take off any residue or wax. I don't know that there is because they are technically organic, but organic sometimes is a misnomer as to what to expect with your produce, I have discovered. Can be a misnomer. The label organic doesn't mean much. Not really, Carrie. Not really. They pay a lot of money to get their hands on it and meet whatever criterion has been set out. And marketing has told us what we should believe about it and why we should pay extra for it. Let's get the lines out too here and get those rinsed off. So yeah, I'm a big proponent of give your fruits and veggies a wipe down if you are using any part of the skin. Like, I'm pretty sure that's smushed bug. Pretty sure. So we're just, I'm really working to get it off of there. Much better. There we go. Yeah. No more smushed bug on the lime. I don't mind adding extra calcium, but I don't want to add extra protein. Don't want to add extra protein. There was a point in time, I will say this too, that I was fully under the impression that organic was healthier. I don't know that I believe that anymore. I usually look for organic now if I'm trying to avoid artificial, like food colors and stuff. So I don't mind food coloring in the things that I eat infrequently, but I don't want food coloring in like my pickles, for example. By the way, go ahead, look at your jar of pickles. To make them look fresher, there's often yellow 5 in there. Yellow 3, one of the yellows, whichever number yellow gets. So I usually, if I'm looking at organic, it's not because I think that the growing practice is superior or that it inherently adds more nutrition to the food. It's because I'm looking to eliminate things that cannot be included in things that are labeled organic, like food, like artificial food colors. In my everyday stuff. Okay, on to zesting. Got flour all over the handle of this. Crazy how natural fruits and veggies look without the... It is, Brandy. It really is. Like, if you were to try to get a lemon, it would probably be brighter than this if it had food coloring in it, if we ever got used to it. But I think it's lemons that are also technically not natural. Was it lemons or was it limes or was it oranges? One of them was created by making a hybrid of something else. And I don't remember which one it was at this point. Also, fun fact, citrus fruits like lemons, limes, and oranges have oils on their skin. And if you go lemon picking, or like in my case, I'm going to be handling a lot of this fruit, you need to thoroughly wash your hands before you go outside and expose them to UV, or, you know, get in a tanning bed or something if you're into that. Because these oils are very photoreactive and you will end up with chemical burns from the reaction between the oils and sunlight, UV. Which is why if you use essential oils, you need to put them in a carrier oil, and even then be extremely mindful to maybe not use those before you're going to be out in the sun for an extended period of time, because you could give yourself a chemical burn. Safety tips. Safety tips. Don't want anybody getting injured for the sake of deliciousness. Can never quite get like all of it, but that should be enough of that one. For some reason, I cannot comprehend certain brands of chocolate milk up here now contain artificial dyes. That's really weird, Cody. Was supposed to be more strictly regulated. Sometimes I wonder about the regulation strictness and what's marketing and what's reality, because I think sometimes they hide behind perceived notions and then that nobody's going to look into it further and they just start sneaking things in. The whole citrus family are hoes. They'll reproduce with any other citrus tree that's close enough regardless of the type. That's insane, Opal, and I love it. That's why we have like 5 bazillion varieties of oranges. Okay, that's really cool. So don't be like citrus trees. Be at least a little selective so that you know who your baby daddy is. Because yikes. But it's also kind of interesting, right? Because it allows them probably to keep themselves safe from blights and whatnot. Since, what's that? My fellow lemon tree won't work? Well, how about this orange tree next door? And then they'll hybrid and, you know, maybe have a resistance. That's why we were doing hybridization in the first place, was to to try and make blight-resistant crops to deal with, you know, not having food shortages. I also realize that I am making quite the mess with my zesting. It's fine. This is how it always goes. I am a messy zester. Yeah, I'm gonna need the other one because I need 2 tablespoons of this, and I don't know that I have 2 tablespoons worth. That's why I take the whole lemons aren't natural with a grain of salt. Fair, Opal. So it is lemons that are the ones that didn't exist originally, to our knowledge. But it sounds like oranges and limes might not be natural either. And grapefruit is technically a citrus, isn't it? I don't know much about grapefruit. Because I want to like grapefruit because I know it's so freaking healthy for you. But I just don't really care for grapefruit, if I'm being honest. I should try it again, though. Things that aren't, like, super out-and-out nopes, I do try to give them another chance every couple of years in case my tastes have changed. More often than not, my tastes have not changed, but every now and then I'm surprised. Trying to avoid, like, the worst of the worst on this particular fruit. Okay, good enough. Good enough. Let's not scrape towards the grater with your skin, Samantha. That's a bad idea. That's a very bad idea. You rest there so I can make sure that this is in the bowl. Yeah, that'll get us pretty close to 2 tablespoons at least. Set that back there. Try to not have as much on my skin as possible. Now we gotta do the limes. Probably came out of some different trees planted in close proximity for farming reasons. Makes sense to me. Makes sense to me. I'm not super worried about cross-contamination between the lemon and the lime zest, because we're using both, so it's not that big of a deal in my opinion. Ooh, the lime smells so good when you zest it. The lemon does too, but the lime, I think, because I don't typically work with limes, is particularly enjoyable. I do love the smell of citrus fruit. I really do. I don't like sour foods necessarily, but I love the smell. It's kind of like coffee. I can't have coffee, but I love the smell of it. When Seamus makes a cup in the morning, I'm just like, beautiful. Lovely. Let me sniff it more. Let me sniff it more. So the fact that if you're going out candle shopping or whatever and you're trying to smell between scents, you can actually, and this goes for anything where you're trying to do a scent test, you can sniff coffee beans in between to clear your nose. Something about coffee just resets your olfactory palate for the next scent, which I thought was really cool. Oh my gosh. Doing this reminds me of the first time I taught somebody else how to zest stuff. It was a friend's daughter, and this daughter's now in college, which is also wild. Like, time needs to slow the heck down. But I thought it was just common knowledge that you actually have to, like, give it some force, like actually push down. And I learned that day that it is in fact not common knowledge if you don't grow up around people who do this sort of thing, because she was just very lightly like this and nothing was happening. I was like, no, you gotta push on it, girl. You gotta push on it. I found it endearing and silly. And I learned that day to be a little bit more instructive and vocal on how to do the thing. So, push. Give it some pressure. Give it a little oomph when you do your zesting. I activated your special interest in trees. I love that you have a special interest in trees, Opal. Which begs the question, what is your favorite tree and why? I will indulge your special interest in trees. Food has been ordered. What food, Kags? What food did you order? What are we having today? I need to know if I'm suddenly booking a plane ticket. If the peel is soft enough that you don't need to push harder, you probably shouldn't be using it. That is also true, Opal. Lightly caress the lime with the zester. No, Light Wraith. No, abuse it with the zester. It wants it. It wants it because it wants to become a delicious, delectable, sweet treat. It's waited its whole life for this moment. Also, I really don't like zesting fruit, by the way. I just like what happens after you zest the fruit. Which is why, technically, I do have dried lemon zest in my cupboard, and orange. But since I needed juice and I needed lime, I said, screw it, I'll zest them myself. I'm also usually not a fan of zested stuff in my food because I personally can find and taste the texture of it, but this dough should be enough to bake it away. I have some planning to do. I'm thinking we're going to be baking out of the Stardew Valley official cookbook next month. I think we're going to... I need to talk to my sister-in-law first and foremost. I need to see if the ducks are laying. Because the pink cake calls specifically for duck eggs. Which you can't just go to the grocery store and buy duck eggs, for the record. But my sister-in-law and brother raise ducks in addition to chickens. And the ducks are strictly pets. The chickens are basically pets too, but those pets poop breakfast. And she... Like, some of the eggs, they will incubate and hatch occasionally if they've lost one of their beautiful feathered friends, either to disease or to wild animal, because it happens, such is nature. Or, you know, like her sister wanted some ducks, so she hatched some eggs and gave them to her sister. I digress. That should work. She has duck eggs, usually. I just have to find out if the ladies are laying yet. If so, I'm good. If not, I wait until they are to do the pink cake. But I also want to do the poppy seed muffins because those sound really good. Look at all this excess zest, man. I'm so messy. Chipotle steak sandwich from a pizza place and some garlic breadsticks. Ooh, that sounds so good, Kags. I'm gonna vicariously enjoy those garlic breadsticks through you. Really like oak trees, specifically the huge ones that have the really wide crowns. Those are so pretty, Opal, and they're especially pretty in the fall. They're especially pretty in the fall. Duck eggs make good omelets. Do they? I've never actually just eaten a duck egg. I've always been nervous to do it because I've heard that they're rubbery. And I have a very big texture aversion. I have a big texture aversion. Should I be cutting directly on this? No. Am I going to? Yes. I'm not doing anything that's providing a lot of resistance. So I'm not too worried about it. I just want to get my juice. I'm going to find all of the hangnails on my skin. All of them. I'm also going to suddenly not be able to hang on to things because my hands are going to get damp with the lemon juice, and there's nothing left to the rind. It's coming out through the rind because I've zested it off, so there's also that. I know there are seeds getting in there. I will fish them out via strainer when I put it in here. Or just not get them on the words. I have them. Tablespoon. On the tablespoon. You scrambled them with a little milk whisked in. When I make my omelets or my scrambled eggs, I always put milk in it. That's just how I was taught to make them. So that's how I do it. Seamus assures me that you can get the same effect from water, but milk. For me, it's got to be milk. I really don't need the third one. There's definitely enough juice in there. So for right now, I'll just put it in the sleeve in case I'm wrong, but I don't think I'm gonna need it. All right, so again, screw it. It's all going in the same place eventually. Lime. Ooh. The limes are a little bit trickier. Oh, I found my first hangnail. I love the look of citrus fruit though too. It's just so pretty. So pretty. Yeah, I should suck it up and try a duck egg at some point. They're supposed to be phenomenal in baking too, and I think originally, like for these recipes that it feels like there's not enough eggs in them, it's because the old ones originally were using duck eggs and not chicken eggs. Like way back in ye olden days. And duck eggs are bigger than chicken eggs. Okay, so we might need to use all 3 limes. Because the limes are proving a little bit more difficult to squeeze. Also, the limes don't seem to have seeds in them, which is weird. I didn't see that it said it was a seedless thing, but I'm not seeing seeds. How weird. How weird. And yes, I know I lean funny to do this. These 2 fingers for me don't work properly. I have ulnar nerve issues, so I can't just grab and squeeze like most people. I have to really like work it. And I didn't even know this until I screwed up my wrists and had to go to physical therapy, and they were doing all the tests. And I mean, this was during the tail end of the pandemic that I found this out. And they were like, oh, by the way. And I was like, well, shit. Shit. You know, since I'm not seeing anything, I bet I can just... No, that really doesn't work either. All right. Juicer it is. I tried. I tried to strong hand it and it didn't work the way I wanted it to. Lemon juice only wants to, pretty much. Lemon juice, lime juice, it just is out there to hurt me. But it makes everything taste so good, so it's worth it. I will be a masochist for lemon juice in my baked goods. Okay. So we needed all of the limes. You know what? I'm just going to trust. Just going to trust. Because I do have whatchamacallit, lemon juice in the fridge if needed. All right, I need to rinse this off of my hands. Because citric acid type stuff will also dry out your skin. And my skin is dry enough without adding insult to injury. Thank you, winter months. Thank you, thyroid. Stupid thyroid. All right, and we'll set these over here. And wipe up. Wipe up all of the overzealous juicing. Done with this, we're done with this. The zester can go in the sink. The knife sits on the outside of the sink so that we know it needs to be washed, but it's not gonna end up in the bottom where it'll stab somebody, because we don't want to stab anybody. All right, now add a tablespoon of both lemon and lime zest to the mix. Zest, zest. Getting there. We're getting there. Hi, Redwing, welcome in. How are you? The lemons are trying to rebel. It is true. Okay. Tablespoon. Good enough. Get it in there. Mix her in. And I can see it around like the edges a little bit. So what I'm gonna do is, ooh, I forgot to lock that. I'm gonna give the edges a good scrape to really make sure everything gets in there. We'll give it one more mix. And then it'll be time to start preheating our oven and prepping our Bundt pan for our cake batter. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, that should be enough off of there. Thing is falling down. There we go. Perfect. Lock it. And that should give it a good mix. Doing good. Potentially getting a crown tomorrow. Ooh, all depends on if the full authorization came through. If not, it's another delay. Oh, I wish you luck. Teeth issues are such a struggle. All right, we're going to thoroughly spray a Bundt pan with nonstick baking spray, and then we're gonna spoon this in. But before I do that, I need to preheat the oven to 325 degrees Fahrenheit, which is I think like 162 Celsius. It's in the Discord. It's in the Discord. Nothing in the oven, bake. So it's another low and slow recipe because it's below 350 Fahrenheit. We're gonna bake it. It calls for an hour and 10 minutes to an hour and 15 minutes, which is like 70 to 85 minutes. We need to tidy this up a little bit because I am out of space. I'm out of space. My work area is too cluttered. So I'm gonna put the eggs away. I'm gonna put the flour away and the sugar. I will need the salt. I will need the juices. Ugh. But let me get this stuff out of my way. So we have room, and then I gotta grab the non-stick spray. That's also very important. Gotta remember that I am down to my final bag of sugar, so I have to pay attention to when it gets really, really low. Okay, now I can reorganize what's still here. I don't think I'm gonna need this guy. That over there. These both have been used. I might need these, but I might not. So for now, they can go back in the drawer. Got lemon and lime juice and lemon and lime zest. I think I'm gonna need, yeah, I'm gonna need the tablespoon. Wait, I already have the tablespoon. Back into here. And this guy can go sit over here. Okay, that clears the deck. Let me get the cooking spray. I should just call this ADHD baking with me at this point. I'm gonna use Pam with flour. I prefer Pam with flour for this process, but it doesn't specifically call for oiling and flouring your Bundt pan. It's on 2 of your molars. Why do you even need them that far in the back? Mystifies me. Yeah, but it's helpful. It's helpful to have them. Husband got home a bit ago. The new snack passed quality control. Very yummy. Excellent, Carrie. Excellent. Let me do that. Okay, so I am using my classic Bundt pan. It's this beautiful shape. This is considered the original Bundt pan. Now, pound cake doesn't have to be made in a Bundt. Pound cakes traditionally were actually made in loaf pans. I don't know how they got the name pound cake. I need to deep dive into that. But they work very well in Bundt cake dishes. So I am going to come over here so that as I spray this, I'm not spraying it into my batter. I'm not spraying it into the rest of my ingredients. The garbage can is here. The garbage can pick up the excess spray. And I'm gonna liberally coat this.
It's Wonk Tootie. She's
Tootie!
a potato.
Because I don't want it to stick. Tootie, how are you? Welcome in. Oh. I'm also going to create a cloud of oil and flour and try to not overly breathe it in here. When you're doing a Bundt pan, make sure you get the center as well, not just the outside edges. There we go. I have liberally applied the oil. You got here just in time. You did, Tootie. You did. Get the rest of it back off of the nozzle here. Now, if you feel so inclined, you can then take like a paper towel and swipe it up in, but you can see that's pretty well covered. Bean, you're streaking. Let's go. Welcome in. How are you, friend? From Wikipedia, pound cake is a type of cake traditionally made with a pound of each 4 ingredients: flour, butter. Holy moly. Okay, so Miri was right about the origins. That's a lot of cake. That's a lot of cake. That is a lot of cake. I don't think we had quite that much of all the ingredients. That's a lot of cake. I will take off what I can from here, and then, yes, I will lick this. Because we got to give it a batter taste test. Don't look, Wazzo. We're going to lick the raw batter. Tell your mom to look away. Oven is up to temp. That's also why I don't preheat my oven when I get started, like many recipes call for. The first thing you do is preheat your oven. I will preheat the oven near the end when I'm getting ready to put the stuff in its container that it's going to bake in. Or put them out on, like if it's cookies, start putting them on the trays, so on and so forth. Okay, real fast. A kilo cake or something? Good God, can you imagine? That's really tasty. That is really tasty. That'll be good. That is going to be really good. You only know it from Farmer Boy in the Laura Ingalls Wilder's book. I read all of those books and I don't remember them well enough to specifically reference them. All right. Ugh. The zest. I don't want to chew on the zest. So it says to spoon it in here. We'll roughly spoon it in. You just kind of want to get it all around. Just want to get it all around. This is going to be one really yummy pound cake. Really, really yummy. I'm looking forward to it. I gotta find some really good autumnal recipes too. So I can use, I got pans that are clearly made for like October, November, because they've got pumpkins and stuff on the top of them for decoration. And I can't wait. Like, that'll be fun in the fall. It's also wild to think about planning that far ahead, let me just say. And then we're just going to work on smoothing it. I think Seamus is falling asleep in his chair in his office. I keep hearing, like, snores. Seamus, he sleeps with a CPAP. He has sleep apnea that was probably induced from his time in the service with the areas that he served in. He is a combat veteran. So when he falls asleep in his chair, I can hear when his soft palate kind of falls, because that's a big part of sleep apnea. You basically, your soft palate doesn't do what it's supposed to do and gets in the way and causes snoring or like those weird snorty sounds. Tease it in there. Beautiful. Beautiful. It's so glorious. This is a 10 cup, by the way, a 10 cup Bundt pan. The earliest known recipe for a pound cake is from 1747. Can you imagine? That's wild. I'm on the phone for a bit figuring out oven food for dinner. Ooh, good luck. All right, so we're gonna bake this for 70 to 85 minutes. It doesn't say to test it. I will be testing it. You want a cake tester or a knife inserted in the center to come out clean. So let me first set my timer on my phone because that's important. Clock, timer, 1 hour. We'll start with the hour 10 because I can always add time on, but I can't take it away. Let me go sit this in to yon oven. Ugh. Start the timer. Huzzah! Now I can lick the spoon. Lick everything, my friends. So long as it's safe when you're baking, lick everything. All right, let's get this in the sink with water. That way it can not dry on and be an absolute pain in the butt. And that means these can go in and not have stuff dried on them. Get this in the sink. Beautiful. I'm going to change it over to cold water so I can rinse my hands off again. I don't need to scald them in the hot water. I don't need soap at this point. I got a little bit of like excess batter bits off of the spatula on my hands that just needed to not be sticky. I don't like overusing soap because you can cause defatting of the skin. So sometimes a rinse is all you need. Put that away because I won't need that again. Beautiful. Now we have to wait. Rewash my hands in a minute. I bit a piece of my dead lip skin off. That's probably why it's so big. A whole pound of each of those ingredients in the late 1700s would be a lot. So I would guess it was meant for large gatherings. You are probably right, Opal. It's probably something that was made for like a big holiday gathering or something related to the church. More than likely. Like it wouldn't be something anyone made on the regular. No, definitely not. Definitely not. And I'm sure we have scaled it down. I'm sure we have really scaled it down because I don't think 3 cups of flour is a pound of flour. Like, now I can pull this book down. Found this on sale on Amazon and it has a conversion chart. So when it comes to flour, 1 cup is 120 grams. So that would mean we used 360 grams. I just need to go to Google machine here. Grams to pounds. So 360 grams is 3/4 of a pound. 0.79 to be exact. So that's actually really close to a pound. Man, could we possibly have truly made a pound cake? How about sugar? It's got everything in here. How about sugar? One cup is 198 grams. Now I need a calculator. 198 times 3 is 594. That's got to be at least. Yeah, that's 1.3 pounds. Okay, so we had over a pound of sugar, but under a pound of flour. I wonder if that means that I could just do a pound, and actually just make a cake. Or the nobility, yeah. Nobility, definitely. Conspicuous consumption via feasting. Yes. Yes, I need to go wake Seamus up. Hang on a second, you guys. When he makes the noise that he makes when he falls asleep once here and there, it's not a big deal, but when he's making it consistently, it's not really good for his health. Yeah, this book is fantastic for the measuring, because it just charts and charts and charts and charts of everything. So when I do make my cookbook and I need to make conversions, I will be referencing this. It also has a lot of really interesting recipes in it that I want to try eventually, but nothing that I was like, I think I can do this today. Like breads. There was a stuffed, was it French toast in here? I'm pretty sure there was stuffed French toast. Like, how about a cranberry almond coffee cake? Could be delicious. I'm not big on nuts, but it could be delicious. Popovers, blintzes, Parisian street vendor crepes. Delicious. Yeah, stuffed French toast. This is the one that I was like, yeah, I'm gonna have to have that. You need 12 half-inch thick slices of white sandwich bread or the bread of your choice. And then for the filling, you need cream cheese, confectioner's sugar, strawberry jam or the jam or preserve of your choice, vanilla extract, and cinnamon. And then for the custard, you need eggs, milk, sugar, salt, vanilla, and freshly grated nutmeg for topping. So you gotta find a pan that fits your bread slices, leave the bread in as tacked as possible. It's easier, yep. Lightly grease the pan, preferably with butter. Make your filling, spread 6 slices of the bread with filling, top them with the remaining 6 slices and lay these sandwiches in the pan, cutting to fit as necessary. And then you blend together the custard ingredients and pour that over the bread in the pan. Let it sit for 30 minutes total so the bread can soak up the custard. Then you preheat the oven to 350 and sprinkle it with nutmeg and bake it for 20 minutes. Turn over the pieces and bake for another 20 minutes until the bread is puffy and lightly browned. That's so interesting. I'm gonna need to make this in my life. I wonder if you're supposed to bake it in the pan. Stuffed French toast, a casserole made from layers of bread, cream cheese, and strawberry jam moistened with eggs and milk and baked to a soft yet crisp perfection is a breakfast everyone clamors for. You can fill the French toast and make up the custard in advance, then dip and bake when you're ready to go. Spread the filling on the slice of bread about a 1/4 inch thick, then top with the second slice of bread, wrap and keep in the refrigerator until you're ready to bake. Yeah, I definitely think I would dip it and not put it in a fry pan. I'm not understanding the point of the fry pan. Unless you're supposed to put it in the oven. Which I would not want to do. I would do this probably in like a 9x13. Hi, Poshi. Welcome in. How are you? I would probably do it in a 9x13. Honestly, banana bread French toast also sounds amazing. We've got Belgian style yeast waffles in here. I really wanted to get into yeast stuff, you guys. I really do. I really do. I think it would be fun. But yeah, this cookbook, I'm gonna have a lot of fun going through and picking out recipes from. I just haven't yet. Yet being the prime and operative keyword. Yeah, because like, look at that chiffon cake and the pound cake that they've got in here. Delicious. It said a fry pan. It said a fry pan bean, but I think I would use a casserole dish. Yeah, it says, oh, it does say a 9x13 pan, but it said a fry pan, didn't it? You know, maybe I interpreted it as a fry pan because I don't call those pans. What do I call them? Dishes? Yeah, I call them casserole dishes. Good thing you asked. Listen, my brain does not function when it has already seen what it wants to see. But yeah, waffles. Waffles would be so good. I'll get there. I'll get there. They have like a selection of pictures and it just makes me want everything. Everything. Like, I would love to make these traditional Danish pastries. They look so yummy. Let me get that page flattened a little better. Does that not look super good? It is a casserole dish. It is. Puff pastry, pain au levain, which is some sort of French bread. Baguettes. I've made babka before, but it's also in here. Babka is so good if you've never made babka. Again, it's yeasted product though. And yeasted things will take a little bit more like pre-planning and probably doing other stuff at the same time on our part. Crispy, cheesy pan pizza sounds good. Chocolate mousse cake with raspberries sounds phenomenal. Cakes are another one of those things where to truly fully do them, not like this pound cake that we're doing right now, you really need to plan ahead for letting the cake cool so that then you can frost it because that's part of the joy of it. Classic birthday cake that I never want to see again in my life. Like, we all know this birthday cake, right? We all know this cake. We made it so frequently and it was always box mix, box frosting. Box mix can frosting. We made it so frequently on my dad's side of the family that if I never eat yellow cake with chocolate frosting again in my life, I will be okay. There was a point in time where, for whatever reason, they had decided that everybody deserved their own birthday. No combining it, everybody got their own. And we were going down to my grandparents' house like once a week to once every 2 weeks. And the only birthday cake that got served was yellow box cake with canned chocolate frosting and whatever ice cream they happened to decide to pick up that week. Every single time for 16 years. Obviously, there were breaks in there where we weren't going quite as frequently, but like everybody's birthdays for the most part were from like August through December, and a lot of December's birthdays got pushed into January. And then we started the process over again with a little smattering in the spring for like my birthday and whatnot. Oh my God, it was too much. It was way too much. It would have been way better if we could have combined some of them, but no, everybody had to have their own for 16 years. It was a struggle. I finally, like when I was old enough, I would just refuse to go. And then people were like, you don't want to come to my birthday? And I was like, I am so sick of leaving my house. I could scream. And at this point, like I didn't have the words to say, I have ADHD. This is overstimulating me. I need quiet time. I have bad social anxiety. I need quiet and having all of my weekends taken up, because during the week was school, and then on the weekend we had to go do this. I was so overwhelmed. I was irritable. I was miserable. Yeah, Bean. Just too much. Too much. So if I never see another one in my life, it'll be too long. Or it'll be too soon. Like, I'm good. I am good. Yep, here's a classic key lime pie, which I'm pretty sure is the one that I actually made for Seamus, because I printed it off of their website. Voix events. Not voix events. I mentioned Pine the... Hang on, I gotta go back because I can't remember it off the top of my head. Pine au levain. Levain? I don't know. It's a sourdough. That. I am probably very horribly butchering that French. I'm probably butchering that French. Until my grandpa and my grandma Barb got divorced when I was 12, I used to celebrate my grandpa's, my uncle's, and mine together since we were all born between the 20th and 26th of February. Exactly, that makes sense, Red Wing. That makes sense. And like my brother, poor bastard, was born directly on Christmas. So he never actually got like his birthday on his birthday. But then my aunt was born on the 26th, the day after Christmas. Do you think we ever celebrated their birthdays together? That would be a negative, Ghost Rider, okay? Maybe when he was a little baby, we combined them, but the minute he was old enough to like be aware, he got his own birthday and she got her own birthday. So we would go down 1 week for his birthday and then we would follow it up the next week for hers. And then I'm pretty sure my Aunt Carolyn is in January. My dad is in February. Forget when my Uncle Fred is. But then you had my cousin Danny, my cousin Laurel, my great Aunt Penny, my great Uncle Lou, my grandmother, my grandfather, my mother, my father, all three of us kids, my cousin Sarah, my cousin Frederick. You can see how this just added up. And for a little while, my great-grandmother was still alive. There were a lot of birthdays. And I was an overstimulated child with no language to explain it, growing up in the 90s where you just had to stop being a brat. It was a problem. He deserves it. I usually would choose the cake and it was chocolate with chocolate frosting, and for ice cream we had short French Neapolitan ice cream. Short French dead dude. It's gotta be Neapolitan. That's really funny. Neapolitan instead of Napoleon. Oh my gosh. Yeah. So too many birthdays. Combine them. Thankfully, birthdays, so on my mom's side of the family, the rule was kids could have birthdays up until the age of 18, but the parents had to organize them, and my parents just got too busy and didn't organize our birthdays after a certain point. So I think my last birthday with my mom's side of the family was when I was like 6, and I think it fizzled out after my grandmother on that side passed away because my mom like took over the business and things just got harebrained. They got harebrained, and that's fine. So when I was like 6 was probably my last birthday on that side of the family. No big deal. They just fizzled out. On my dad's side, it continued for a while, but they have now fizzled out too. When my grandmother... It basically happened like as all of us kids became adults and started moving around, and then my grandmother got put in a memory care facility. They just kind of went by the by, and I'm okay with that. Occasionally, my Aunt Kathy will just be like, I couldn't help but get you this doodad for your birthday. I know we don't celebrate, and like, that's fine. I'm okay with that. When I make the angel food cake, I will contact her. It's her favorite cake. She'll probably come over and have some, and it'll be like a belated birthday cake. It's all good. No big deal. We just don't celebrate anymore. Thank goodness. At this point, it's probably going to be that the only time to celebrate birthdays is going to be with my immediate family, and we've basically put the onus on each of us. If you want to celebrate, you organize it. That's what we're going to be doing. Here, have some sugar. Why are the kids out of control, right, Boji? Right? My family used to split that ice cream. Dad ate the vanilla, Mom the strawberry, and you had the chocolate, Mary. Oh, that's fun. Can I? Thank you. I needed to scroll up. Yeah, Neapolitan. I have called it Short French Dead Dude since Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure came out, which is a fantastic movie, Red Wing. I'm glad that I was super close to my dad's side because I have over 30 cousins on his side alone. Oh, or that you weren't. That is a lot of cousins, Cags. That is clearly a remnant of you had lots of babies because they weren't all making it due to epidemics and other environmental factors. Whew. I have 6 bio cousins and 5 step cousins. I see the step ones at least every other month. The bios almost never. How interesting, Red Wing. Some people, though, they make the time to be a part of your life, and other people do not. Why is my timer not? Okay. It's because I had Google open. I was suddenly like, did my timer stop? But no, we're fine. We're fine. We're safe. He was one of 13 siblings. Holy moly, that's a lot of kids. That is right up there. That is right up there. The maximum I've ever heard of is 20. No, it was 22, but I've since heard that that family had more babies. So I think my sister said it was like 28 now from one woman. That is a lot of uterus action. That is a lot of uterus action. I think what I'm going to do while we chat is actually go to the desktop and sit down. The clown car uterus, right, Opal? Because we've got almost, we got 48 minutes left on the timer. So rather than just stand in one spot for 48 minutes while this is just like, this has to dry out a little, this has to dry out a little. We don't need to make the glaze until we take the cake out of the oven. I'm just going to go sit down. So I will meet you guys over at the desktop. I'm going to turn this off to preserve the battery. And I'll meet you over there and we can sit and chat. Maybe we'll play some Plate Up. I don't know. I think you can hear me, maybe not. Okay, you should be able to hear me now. Makes me kind of glad I'm not super close to any of my cousins. My mom was the second youngest of 7, and all her older sisters had at least 2 kids, with I think 5 biological kids being the max, though one fostered adopted many. And those are still very much family. That, so many kids. So many kids. Your dad was one of 10? Yeah. Yeah. I also have to switch my captions back. There we go. So now it will capture everything. Perfect, because I don't want to not be closed caption friendly, but I need to find a spot for this. This will do. The Google plugin, so that it's native to OBS rather than having to start something on like a web browser and it's just be one more thing you have to remember. The Google one does require you to actually tell it which source it should be looking at for the closed captions. But it works so well. It works so well. Oh, it feels good to sit down. It really does feel good to sit down. Even if it's temporary, it feels so good. We need it. We need to be off of our feet while we wait the next 46 minutes. The next 46 minutes. But the cake's gonna be worth it. It's gonna be worth it. I can't wait to start smelling it. Can't wait to start smelling it. You do have a pot of gold, yeah. The pot of gold is for if you gift subs. That's how I do it in March. And you know what? It's fun because these are the same graphics I used last year. I don't have to think. I don't have to struggle to figure out how am I doing this. Nope, it's right there. It's right there and it's beautiful. It's beautiful like that. So yes, you have a pot of gold. We had another person, didn't we? Allie resubscribed. I got Miri during the thing. So actually I can add Allie while we're right here. I have this technology. I have this ability. So let's add Allie in. Scooch this graphic over. Do that. Auntie Allie. I love Allie's rebranding. It suits her so well. We're gonna find out if this fits okay. I may have to rearrange the layout just a hair. Nope, it fits perfectly. There we go. Allie's added. Allie is added. I was the only one of both sets of cousins that was an only child. My aunt had 2 boys and a girl. My uncle had 3 girls, and my grandma Julie had 3 kids. Her brother had 2. So many kids. So many kids. I thought I grew up in a large family, but not quite that large. So on my dad's side, there were 3 of them. My Aunt Kathy never married and never had kids. My parents had 3 of us. And then my Aunt Carolyn and Uncle Fred had 2. One that came with my aunt from previous marriage. So she's technically my step cousin, not my full cousin. And then they had 1 kid together. So 5 of us on that side. And then on my mom's side, there were 4 of them. And my Aunt Marcia and Uncle Clark had 2. And then my Aunt Sally and Uncle Mark had 2. And my Aunt Linda, I think she actually had 2 as well, but I never met my cousin Kenny because he did unfortunately pass away in a car accident when I was very, very little. And then there were the 3 of us, so that's 2, 4, 6... 9. There's 9 of us there. But then my cousins started having kids. So then I had 3, 4, 5 more cousins from that. And now I have even more cousins from that because my cousins who had kids, those kids had kids. Which makes them like my cousins twice removed. Something like that. I don't know. I'm not 100% sure how that all works. Julie's middle child considers me his little sister. He thought he would never get to have. I'm only 2 years younger than him. Oh, that's so sweet. That's so sweet. I love that. I love that for you both. That is so adorable. I have to just... If you see me glancing this way, it's just me looking at my phone timer. To make sure. Because time blindness. Time blindness is a massive thing. It's a massive, massive thing. I'm sure Seamus is also thankful for me coming in here to sit down, because it means that he can go out in the kitchen and like get himself something to eat or whatever. Oh my God, speaking of getting stuff to eat, another part of my delay today was I forgot to eat food. It suddenly dawned on me like 15 minutes before I had to finish getting ready to go live that I had not eaten a lick of food. None. So I made some waffles real fast, like just some frozen waffles, but it's better than not eating. We're both the smart butts of the cousins, and when we get together, if you didn't know we were cousins, you'd swear we were something else. That's so funny. But that's like the best. They say that your relationship with your cousins is usually a really strong bond. Must get some food. Score streaming. It's hard. Yeah. Yeah, it is very important to eat before you stream. It is very important, especially when you're going to be standing on your feet for a while. And I'm standing on my feet after going for a little over a mile walk / some running today. I went yesterday, so the weather has been absolutely gorgeous. Absolutely gorgeous right now. So I went out yesterday when it was, I want to say it was like 47 Fahrenheit, which is, now I can make the conversion for you. Hang on. 47 is about 8 Celsius. Phenomenal. Considering it's been below freezing for weeks on end now, and just gloom and doom and no sunshine and whatnot, 47 was fantastic. Today it hit 50, which is 10 Celsius. I had to be outside. I needed it. I needed to feel the sunshine. I wanted the fresh air, and I really wanted to move, which is great because I was really worried during the winter when I got away from being able to go outside and take walks, because it was, quite frankly, it was simply too dangerous with the lack of sidewalk treatment and the roads just being miserable. It was too dangerous to really go out and take those walks. I was worried that I would hit this time of year where it would start to warm up. It would be more conducive to taking walks, and I would just be like, meh. But because I'm chatting with a friend who's also ADHD and also trying to be healthier, we are like spurring each other on to keep going with it. So that, I think that's helping big time. But yeah, I went out yesterday. I went out today. I'm getting my steps in again. I'm getting my exercise, and it feels really good. It feels really good. And that was part of why I was like, you know what? I'm going to push stream back from 2 to 4, because even though we've, shifted the clock, so now instead of getting dark at like 5:15, it's going to get dark around, well, it's not even dark yet. So I guess it was probably getting dark closer to 6, and now it's getting dark closer to 7. I didn't want to trust that I would be done within the 4 hours and be able to get outside and take the walk after stream, or that I would have the capacity to take a walk after stream, right? Because depending on how long I stand, depending on how my low back and my knees feel after standing, it might not be possible if it's still light out. So I said, I'll push it back. Health comes first, and I need the walk to be healthy. I'm also hoping that getting this exercise is going to help with the sleep cycle, regulating my dopamine. It was helping before winter really set in and I couldn't do this anymore, so I'm hoping it helps again. And as an added side effect, as a bonus, even though it's going to be really hard to achieve between PCOS, Hashimoto's thyroiditis, and just plain age, I should start dropping some of the weight that I don't want to be carrying. And that'll be really nice. One of the things, and like, tell me if this resonates with you guys at all, right? One of the things that I learned fairly recently, your sleep schedule is off bad, Poji. Oh, I feel that. I feel that so strongly. One of the things that I heard recently that I was just like, of course, and I think it was Barry over at Content Delta, Mathman, was that the goals you set shouldn't have a metric you cannot control. So a goal of weight loss is great, but you can't actually control, like directly 100% control that you're going to lose the weight. You might replace things with muscle. So now you're doing all of these things. The scale's not going down. You're failing your goal. It's a problem. But if you're actually replacing the fat tissue with muscle tissue, you may not see the weight loss. If you are retaining water for whatever reason, you may not see the weight loss. So like you can't 100% control that number, but you can control being healthier. You can control saying, to be healthier, I am only going to allow myself to order out or like eat at a restaurant or what have you twice a month instead of once a week. So I've cut that in half. You can say, instead of having cereal for breakfast, I am going to make a concentrated effort to make sure that my breakfast includes a protein and a fruit, and then switch to like yogurt parfaits with granola and stuff. Like those are actionable items, and you will see yourself having healthier results because you should feel that your energy comes back. You should like have better sleep habits that form because of this. If you are somebody who's in contact with a doctor, in theory, things like your cholesterol, your glucose levels, so on and so forth, provided you don't have an underlying condition that affects these, should reflect your healthier habits. Your weight may not always reflect the healthier habits, but practiced long enough, your weight should start to come down. You can also make it just that I want to lose weight versus I need to get to 130 pounds or it's pointless, right? So you may not make it all the way down to your target number. Having an idea in mind, though, of where you want to get to is very helpful. So it resonated with me greatly to stop focusing on the number that I want to appear on the scale and just really focus on, are the habits I'm establishing making me feel better? And I think that's helping a lot. I do still want to see the scale go down because it's like ping, ping, dopamine hits for my brain of like, yay, I'm doing the thing. But what I'm going to do in addition, because I have already witnessed where my water weight is out of control because I suddenly increased my exercise load. Whoop-de-doo-ha, body. You're such a pain in the ass. What I'm thinking about doing as well, though, is stepping on the scale, but also taking my measurements, because it is also true that while I might be gaining muscle too fast to really reflect it on the scale just yet, like I might be putting on more muscle than I am losing fat in the beginning, my muscle gain should not take up as much space as fat does because muscle weighs more. And thus, I should see my measurements start to shrink. So even if the scale's not showing it, the measurements should. I've stopped focusing on weight loss this year as it's done nothing for me previously, and focused on inches lost, muscle building, hoping for pounds to regulate as needed for my health. Absolutely. Absolutely, Luna. Absolutely. And that is the best way. Focus on something that doesn't tear you down. Hi, Ragnarok. Welcome in. How are you? How are you? Yeah, because it is rough. It is rough. The other piece of advice that really helped me, and this is probably also part of why I'm able to get back to walking, it's from the person who puts out Hybrid Calisthenics. I have followed him for probably like 3 or 4 years now on Instagram. He made a video at one point that you need to include in your planning what to do if you fail. He's like, because it's not a case of if you miss a workout, it's when you miss a workout. How do you plan to get back in the saddle? How do you plan to keep your motivation? Because human nature is, you're going to get sick at some point. You're going to have a life event that crops up that interrupts things. Just changes might happen in general. That means you have to shift your workout schedule. How do you plan to fail? So that way, when you get derailed, you don't just stay off of the rails. And I was like, epiphany right there. I've definitely gotten better at both sleeping properly and eating properly, and that helps so much. Now I just need to move my butt a bit more regularly and the trifecta will be complete. You got this. You got this. And it is also okay to start with one habit at a time. Like, you don't have to do like me and just try to pile it all on at once, because that's exactly what I'm doing. It's not exactly the best way. I don't necessarily recommend my method, but you can start with one habit at a time and recognize that being healthier is a very slow process. It's not bam, instant, I've made the decision and I'm suddenly healthier, right? It's just like when you start a new medication, you have to wait for it to kick in. If you're going to do massage therapy to fix your muscle woes, your muscles didn't get crampy all of a sudden. It's been a slow buildup. It's going to take time to fix it. It's the same thing with your health. Your health didn't suddenly just light switch turn to shit. It's been a pattern over time. And it's going to take time to correct the pattern. So even if your first step is this month, I am going to make sure that I get to bed by 11 p.m. every night. And I'm going to wake up by 7 a.m. every morning. If that's all you do for a month, you did it. It's a step forward. If the next month, all it is I'm going to continue that habit, but I'm going to make sure that I make it to 3,000 steps a day. Because maybe you've only been getting to 1,500. So you're doubling your steps. You're continuing your sleep. And then when that's comfortable, you can say, okay, I've got 3,000 steps a day. This month, on top of all of that, I'm going to make sure I cook dinner every night unless I'm eating leftovers. And you just slowly habit build. And these things will compound on each other and you will become a healthier version of yourself. It doesn't have to all happen at once, which my ADHD brain is like, but what if it could? And it's like, no brain, you will get overwhelmed and we'll have a problem. Swords and sandals theme intensifies. A baby step is still a step. It adds up. Exactly, Carrie. It's like a penny saved is a penny for tomorrow. You save a penny a day, you made $3.65. You do that 10 years in a row. Now it's over $50, and it doesn't sound like a lot, but it adds up. And it really added up in 1800s when a penny was worth a heck of a lot of money. A journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step. Exactly, Ragnarok. I've personally started doing a quick set, push-ups or squats during my breaks, so over the course of the day I end up with a decent workout total. It already feels great. That is a fantastic way to do it, Light Wraith. That is absolutely fantastic. Back in the day, I used to do push-ups and sit-ups every night before bed. Maybe it's time to pick that up again. Maybe. It's certainly not a bad habit to be in. They stopped making oh my god, Opal. I know why they had to stop making pennies. I don't know, but I need to go and pull out like all of the pennies I have and just put them in like a penny safe, because someday I will pull them out and be like, my little cousins 6 times removed, you've never seen these before, but this is a penny. What are pennies? Exactly, Cags. Or heck, even chair yoga. Chair yoga also is good. Yep. Anything to get moving. Nobody's weird like you and me. Difference doesn't matter because nobody's the same. That's true, Venom. Welcome in. How are you? I hope you're doing well. You haven't had pennies since 2013? Really, Cags? That fascinates me, and it makes me wonder if we're gonna have to adjust sales tax at some point, because our sales tax in New York is 7%, unless you're in the city, in which case I think it's 9%, but other counties are 8%. It depends on where you are in the state. 7 cents on a dollar is pennies. You need pennies, so they're rounding it in one direction or the other, so somebody's making a loss, and it's gonna be a problem if you're not doing credit cards. Thank you for the follow. I appreciate it. Hi, Jazz. Welcome in. How are you? My little pennies. Isn't the world a lovely place? Facts, Ragnarok. Canada stopped back in 2013 because it cost too much to make, and I think that's probably why the States is doing it. But I feel like they also have to amend the way taxes work for people who are paying in cash, because people still do that, so that you don't need pennies. Like, taxes are going to have to become a derivative of 5 instead of anything else. What they do here is for cash, they round it to the nearest 5, but on cards, it's still to the 1. And yeah. And I feel like if you just make taxes a derivative of 5, period, end of story, you're good to go. But that means New York State would probably up all of their taxes to 10% sales tax, and that would suck. That would suck. Your cousin ate your... That is quite the statement. The Swedish equivalent was discontinued in 2010. Oh, interesting, Ragnarok. So America is just behind the 8 ball per typical. The metals in a penny are worth more than the penny. I have heard that, Opal. I have. And even with pennies not being made out of copper anymore. Even with pennies not being made out of copper anymore, like, that is a thing. That is a thing. I forget when they stopped using copper for pennies. I do forget. But I know it's been a while. We basically only had the $50 coin. You guys don't have a lot of coins? Is that what you're saying, Ragnarok? Because we've got the 5-cent coin, the 10-cent coin, the 25-cent coin. We do have a 50-cent coin or a $50. And technically, you can get dollar coins, which they look gold, but they're not gold. I think they're probably like a coated brass or something. We have a lot of coins in the States. 24 minutes on the clock. You know where to get the dollar coins? Yeah. They're fun. They're fun, but they confuse people. They confuse people as much as the $2 bills. They confuse people as much as the $2 bills. You try to pay with a $2 bill, people are calling their managers to verify that this is legal currency because they've never seen it. They've never heard of it. You try to pay with a dollar coin, they also look at you like you have 3 heads. But dollar coins are really fun to take to like Ren fairs and stuff so that you can carry your coins in a pouch. They're a lot of fun. You get them as change when you buy stamps at the post office from their vending machine. Interesting. I've never actually thought to buy stamps from a vending machine. I don't know if I've seen a vending machine for stamps before, but that's fun, Opal. That's fun. The Swedish currency is called single krona, plural kronor, krona and kronor, respectively. And we have 1, 2, 5, and 10, respectively. And I'm assuming that's a $1 bill, a $2 bill, a $5 bill, and a $10 bill, essentially. You've saved dollar coins for the Ren Fair, Opal? Yes! You're my kind of people. I still remember when I worked in retail and got paid with a $1 coin and a $2 bill the first times. It's really, if you don't know that they exist, it's really like, what is happening? Isn't it, Luna? Isn't it? I knew that they existed when I got into retail because there's a custom of giving a $2 bill as a good luck charm. So I had received a $2 bill in that regard. And then when the dollar coins came out, I think it was the Sacagawea coin. My grandparents got us each one. So I was a kid when I first experienced both, but I can totally see how people would be like, is this legal currency? Even a $50 coin. Always get the WTF look when yes. Yeah, you don't see those very often either. My parents had a stash of them. They're usually inside the post office lobby. I don't know that our post office lobby has that. I'm pretty sure if you want stamps, like they have the display case, right? Where you can see all the available styles of stamps. But I don't think they actually have a vending machine. I think you have to go to the window and buy them in all of the lobbies that I've ever been in. Maybe I'm just not in a big enough city where they have vending machines for stamps. Right now, 1 krona is equivalent to 11 cents USD. Okay, that's fascinating. That's fascinating, Ragnarok. And also, if I am butchering the name of that, I apologize. I knew about dollar coins, but not the $2 bill when I first started. Makes sense to me, Luna. $2 bills are harder to get a hold of at this point than dollar coins. Hey, Patrick, welcome in. I hope you're doing well as well. I am having a fantastic day. I can smell the cake now. We got 21 minutes. If I hit the lotto, I want a room full with dollar coins like Scrooge McDuck bougie. Oh my gosh, that would be so fun. That would be so fun though, right? I'm here for it. Depends on the size of the post office. Opal, that makes sense. And the post office in the city I live in is fairly large, but there are definitely bigger. There are absolutely bigger. That was actually an impressive pronunciation of it. Huzzah! I'm trying. No thanks. You've seen the Family Guy parody? It looks ouchy. Oh, I didn't realize Family Guy did a parody of it. I mean, to try and actually swim through a mountain of metal coins, you would probably crush yourself to death if you weren't careful. But the thought is fun. The thought is fun. Doing pretty good, just still dealing with the ear infections are no fun, but hopefully you'll be done with it soon. Fingers crossed, Patrick. Fingers crossed for your health. If I remember it right, I believe John F. Kennedy and Benjamin Franklin are on the $50. In the 90s, they switched Ben's image for JFK. I actually don't know, Red Wing. I never paid attention to who was on the 50-cent coin. Makes me want to go find my 50-cent coins though and figure it out. I have like a little jar at in my childhood bedroom with my unique coins that I was saving. I'm pretty sure I have like a bicentennial penny in there. The special nickels that came out, a lot of the state coins, 50-cent pieces. I'm pretty sure I have a dollar coin in there. Horrific injuries. It's not a liquid, it's a solid mass of coins or something like that. Oh my gosh. I mean, that would do it. If you actually tried to dive into it, it would also hurt. That is true. That is true. The cartoons make everything look so easy, don't they? You can just dive into a pile of coins and swim around in it like it's water, or you run off the edge of a cliff and you look down. But until you look down, you're fine. But you look down and you're just going to plummet and, you know, bury yourself up to the neck in sand, but you'll live. You'll live playing with dynamite and heaven only knows what else. Playing on train tracks. Don't do that. Don't do that, kids. Like, oh my gosh. Cartoons made you think that everything was so simple. But we also had the wherewithal to know that logically you can't do this. Franklin was on the $50. Kennedy replaced him. Thank you, Seamus. You looked it up. I have some currencies from other countries that I've collected over the years and from my own travels and from friends and acquaintances. That's really cool, Luna. That's really cool. I would love to travel someday and collect currencies. I think somewhere among my mother's stuff, because we never fully sorted through it, I think she has yen, old yen coins, because she went over to Japan twice. Once when she was in high school for student exchange, and then once as an adult she paid her own way to go back. So that would have been, let's see, she was born in 58, so the high school would have been like early 70s, and then going after that would have been probably like late 70s, early 80s. So they would be old coins. Oh my god. It's wild to think that they would be at least 40 to 50 years old. You guys, time moves too fast. Let's not forget that somebody will yodel before you fall. That's also true, Ragnarok. That's also true. And all the Doctor Who references when they did the reboot, because the 10th Doctor... What? I did not know the 10th Doctor voiced Scrooge McDuck. That is hilarious. No, because Franklin is on the $100 bill. That's why they say it's all about the Benjamins. That's true. That's true. Franklin is on the $100 bill. And I should know that because people do like to pay in $100 bills when they come to get massage. So I have put my hands on a fair number of them and then put them into the bank. Because while people like to pay me in cash, which is great because cash is king,
I cannot pay my bills through the internet with cold hard cash, so it's got to go into the bank so that then I can electronically pay my bills. 10th Doctor voided Scrooge, and I'm like, wait, he erased Scrooge McDuck from canon? That would be an interesting feat to accomplish. That would be an interesting feat to accomplish. I did not realize that Eccleston voiced Scrooge McDuck. I can't even picture it. But that is so cool. How many counterfeit checking pens have you gone through? Only, I still am on my first one. I'm still on my first one. They last surprisingly long. And knock on wood, no counterfeits. No counterfeit 50s, no counterfeit 100s. The other thing, though, that you have to be careful with, and like this isn't nearly as big of an issue for something like Walmart or Target. It is super impressive. Not Eccleston, he's the Oh, Tennant is the 10th. Again, I still wouldn't expect it of Tennant. You have to be careful of foreign currency. So a lot of times we always thought it was funny to get like Canadian nickels and stuff. So when I started doing craft fairs as a small business, I thought nothing of it when I accidentally got a Canadian nickel for somebody until I went to try to turn that into the bank. And they said no. Because your average bank in the States actually cannot convert foreign currency to USD. So I still have that nickel. Thankfully, I only got one. Thankfully, it was only a nickel. But now I know when I get currency from people, I have to actually check to make sure it's not Canadian. Because I can't turn it in. The keyboardist in Nightwish wrote an entire solo album based entirely on the life and times of Scrooge, and it's awesome. Really? Nightwish is such a good band. Tennant does the voice for the bad guy in Ark Survival Ascended and Evolved. Really, Seamus? Not to mention that nickel was probably not worth a penny at the time. Probably not. Probably not, Miri. You're not wrong. David Tennant is married to Tom Baker's daughter. For some reason, I always pictured Tennant as, like, single and ready to mingle, and I think it's just because of how strong his fangirl base is. He does a very nice job as Rockwell. I love that. I love that for you guys, Carrie. That feels incestuous. I can see why it would. You love David Tennant? I do too, Kags. I love him as an actor. I do not, however, and I know this is a really hot take, okay? I do not, however, like him as the Doctor. Which says a lot for his acting skills, okay? The 10th Doctor was so whiny. I needed him to shut the fuck up. When Seamus and I were watching Doctor Who, and I've only made it most of the way through Matt Smith. That's as far as my Doctor Who goes before we got sidetracked with other things and just never went back. When we were watching, I literally turned to him. We were about 5 episodes from the end of Tennant's arc, maybe. And I looked at him and I said, I cannot watch any more of the 10th Doctor. So you need to tell me how it ends and we need to skip ahead or I'm done. So he gave me the TLDR, or I guess in this case the TLDW, too long, didn't watch. TWDW, too whiny, didn't watch. And we skipped ahead. Because I just could not handle it. But I loved Tennant's character in Good Omens. Oh, gosh. I need to rewatch Good Omens. That was so good. Can you imagine how confusing they probably are on purpose? Probably, Opal. And his wife was cast as his daughter on an episode. That's how they met. Amazing, Red Wing. I thought you were going to say, but I don't like him as a person. No. David Tennant as a person, fantastic. As an actor, fantastic. As the 10th Doctor, his version of the Doctor, too whiny. And I know that's how it was written, right? He's just playing the role. So I don't blame him for why the Doctor was whiny. he did a fantastic job with it. Oh my god, I couldn't handle it. Matt Smith is still best doctor. I do like Matt Smith. He made it so the other doctors can be around each other because he was not just the 10th, but all... Really? He's the 14th? Wait, weren't there only supposed to be 13 doctors? Doctor Who is definitely worth it, Luna. Everyone is entitled to their own opinions. This is also true, Miri. This is also true, especially when they're harmless about which doctor is the best doctor or whether or not you liked a certain doctor. It hurts nobody. Smith had Pond. Seamus is very fond of Amelia Pond. Amy Pond. Gets very confusing. I believe it, Light Wraith. I believe it. We have 10 minutes on the clock. I also love that we end up in these nerdy discussions, by the way. It pleases my nerdy little heart for what little bit of the nerd world knowledge that I have. I personally couldn't stand Smith, but I don't get bothered by others liking him. Exactly. I have no qualms with people who love Tennant. I know that the 10th Doctor is among the most beloved doctors. It's hurt. I'm sorry, Nova. I know that he is one of the most beloved doctors. He's just not my beloved doctor. After he was cast, but before filming started, Peter Capaldi was in World War Z. In the credits, his character is listed as Who Doctor. Amazing, Opal. Watched the end of the Matt Smith years, and Clara fought for it and got him a new set of... Oh, okay. See, I hadn't made it that far. That makes sense. I think every doctor has her place. They do, Miri. They do. I just got to the point where I couldn't handle Tennant's doctor anymore. I like that I found a nerd pond to be part of. Yes, this is very much a nerd pond. It's very much a nerd pond, and we're happy to have you here. Pond and Clara are your eternal Doctor Who crushes. Martha Jones, though, was beautiful. And her character was so strong. I really liked Martha Jones. You hated Rose? Cags, I totally understand it. I totally understand it. But more than that, like, Rose was not my favorite companion, but she was a pretty strong companion. Just... she was definitely the nobody's gonna tell me no kind of person, but not to the extent that, oh my god, it wasn't Clara. It was the one that gave him, like, a really big wake-up call. Maybe it was Clara. No. Seamus knows who I'm talking about. He had to wipe her memory. I think she was the end of Tennant. Hi, Aeon. Welcome in. But anyways, Rose got done dirty by how she got taken out. And I'm not going to say how, because obviously if Luna is going to be watching for the first time, we don't want to spoiler it for Luna, but she got done dirty. Doctor played by her is you're being silly. Fair, Dova. Your favorite doctors are the 4th and the 7th. Good old Tom Baker and Sylvester McCoy. So I started with the 9th Doctor. I have not actually watched the really, really old Doctor Who. Clara was when you had to stop because she just pissed you off every time. That's fair, Opal. That's fair. And again, that is where I would be like, all right, tell me how it goes so I can skip ahead to things that I actually enjoy. I somehow managed to avoid the entire Doctor Who thing. You know what, Ragnarok? You say that now, and then eventually somebody's going to get you to watch it. Potentially. Thank you for the follow. I appreciate it. You did not know. And guess who the doc looks like after this latest regen? Oh no. Who does the doc look like? The redhead? Donna? Donna! Yes! Donna. Donna is the one I was thinking of. Rose is back in more ways than one. Oh gosh. I'm thinking of Donna Noble. Yeah. Just watch the Tom Baker. Donna's the one yeah, Donna was... she was the wake-up call the doctor needed, but good lord, would not listen to reason. We are talking about Doctor Who, Aeon. We are. You've come in at the right nerd time. I like Donna because she was older than the usual companions. You know what? That is a fair assessment. Who's on first? What's on second? Donna Noble is a fucking icon. I won't hear anything else. Well, we know who Aeon likes. We know who Aeon likes. I didn't hate her. I didn't love her. I didn't love her. But I also was very fond of Amy Pond. I liked how skeptical Amy was at first. And just, I don't know, her overall countenance was really striking. And I liked that Amy Pond was not infatuated with the doctor. She had Rory. And that really pleased me. Donna Noble is a snotty bitch. I can't wait to see if Jack Harkness sees the latest regen. It's going to blow his... Oh my gosh, right? Right? The whole thing with Jack is a wild thing too. Is Tom the scarf doctor? I really do want to go back and see Tom Baker because I love that scarf. Amy Pond, Rory, and Donna are your faves. I do like Rory. Her grandfather, on the other hand, oh gosh. Sci-fi isn't really your thing. And you know what? For the most part, it's not mine either, Ragnarok. Doctor Who just happened to capture a special part of my heart. She did want to ride him, Aeon. That is true. Midsummer Murders. I've never heard of Midsummer Murders. Do tell me more. Long scarf and jelly babies. Did you notice that by the end of the Amy story, her and Rory are technically older than the doctor? I didn't make it that far, but that's also fascinating, Opal. Jackie was a hoot. Yes, Redwing. Midsummer Murders is a banger of a show. Aeon is debating our friendship. There is that, the Time Lord thing. That is true. We got 4.5 minutes on the clock. My mom told me stories of leaving my car seat in front of the old Doctor Who to help stop me crying. It was your thing, Miri. I love that. Piper is the newest. Well, that's an interesting regen. That's a very interesting regen. Basically, Midsummer's Murders is a whodunit set in the fictional Midsummer County where people get murdered left and right and the only competent cop in the area is to solve. Okay. I need to write this down because now I need to look this up. That sounds absolutely hysterical. That sounds like my kind of thing. Helps if I don't close the pen. Midsummer Murders. I had to make sure I spelled Midsummer right. You loved Clara. A lot of people liked Clara. I still stand by Martha Jones though. She was so strong. She was so strong. Clara makes you wet. No, you didn't like Martha Jones? That was the one currently being Barnaby was actually in an earlier episode. Interesting. Right, Miri? I liked Martha. I did like Martha. My favorite companions from the old days are Sarah Jane and Ace. And see, I don't know the old days, so I can't comment on that, but I bet they were fun. Now, here's a question. Okay, what's your favorite enemy in Doctor Who? Because me personally, I love the Weeping Angels. I will cosplay a Weeping Angel someday. I think they are fun. Terrifying, wonderful fun. River Song is also pretty good as well. The whole River Song arc, watching it because they're like going opposite each other, her and the Doctor, is so fascinating. Sarah Jane is the best old school companion. I'll take your word for it. The Master, there's that too. The Master was good. Sims Master, the Silent. Oh yeah, the Silence. Weeping Angels are a great concept, right? Right? There's also Father Brown, which is a detective mystery, but where the local priest is more confident than the cops. I love that too. I'll write that down. I love mystery shows. I grew up on Murder, She Wrote. Loved Murder, She Wrote. MPH in Doctor Who is what's his... Was Neil Patrick Harris in Doctor Who? It was all about Missy, though. Love that woman. I don't think I know Missy. The priest played by Mark Williams, so he's quirky as all get out. Nice. You like Daleks. Of course you do, Seamus. Exterminate. We got 90 seconds on the clock, so I actually have to start wandering my way back out to the kitchen and we will be able to make the glaze and stuff. Daleks, you know what though? Daleks are more scary than Cybermen. I think Cybermen are my least favorite of the enemies. I think they're my least favorite of the enemies. Welcome in, Echo. I hope you're doing well today. Murder, She Wrote is amazing, right? I love it. All right. I have to go back out to the other room. I have to go out to the other room. The Borg. I still think the Cybermen are less scary. Okay, you should be able to hear me. I gotta adjust the captions again. Or the Spaceballs for that matter. I mean, Spaceballs the movie is fantastic. I love Spaceballs the movie. Where are you, DJI Lapel? There you are. Save. Now it'll capture the captions again. Cybermen were dollar store Borg. Wrong universe. I was gonna say, I was pretty sure the Borg, oh, there's the timer. The Borg were Star Trek. And yeah, in Star Trek, they're also not my favorite bad guy. Actually, my favorite character in Star Trek is technically a bad guy. Where's my cake tester? There it is. Because my favorite Star Trek character is Q. I love Q. Q is phenomenal. And is it clean? It is! The cake is done! All right, let me get my other oven mitt because I can't do very much with only one oven mitt. Right, is Q bad though? He's kind of like an anti-hero. He's a very morally gray character, right? Because Q isn't doing his things to be malicious. Q just genuinely doesn't understand humanity, which is fascinating. Like, I love that about Q. And I love that it really makes you question humanity as a whole. All right, it's out of the oven. Out of the oven. Chaotic neutral is a good way to put it. We need 10 minutes on the clock because in 10 minutes we will tip this out. We must move directly to ludicrous speed. Yeah. Yup, Spaceballs was so good. So good. They ended up spending 24 years together. That cradle we see when Amy is kidnapped by the Suns was made for... That's interesting, Red Wing. And the name patch on the cradle was made for the mom. Interesting. Q is trying to understand humanity. Like the rest of they're the continuum, right? If I remember right, he's part of the continuum. The Q consortium. And they're all just like known as Q. Most of them just want nothing to do. They're just like silent observers. But Q actually wants to get involved. And he's kind of, so in a lot of mythology, you have the prankster character, and Q kind of fits that part of mythology, right? Because he just does things to see what'll happen. And he does get in trouble at some point with the consortium, and they make him a human in one of the episodes, and he has to go to Picard and be like, so I have to graduate from being human, will you mentor me? And Picard is just classic Picard. He takes him in, and it's just beautiful. It's so good. I love Q. Here's Slut for good old... I don't know how to pronounce that word. The Daedrix? The Romulan ships? You know, the Romulans are pretty cool too. Data's brother. Oh, I forgot about Data's brother. That was a fascinating episode. I'm your father's brother's nephew's cousin's former roommate, which makes us absolutely nothing. Yes. And what do we have? A Cuisinart. Oh God, Spaceballs. Such a good movie. The Singing Towers of
Beryllium that River mentions is her last night with 24 years due to the planet's rotation. That is a slow rotation. Or is it a fast one? Cradle is fascinating. Amy named her Melody Pond, and the people on that planet didn't even have those words, so it ended up being River Song. I got tingles from that. That is amazing. Like, what beautiful story writing, by the way. Like, Doctor Who had fantastic scripting, minus nitpicky things. Star Trek, fantastic scripting. Hi, Glay. It is a Bundt cake because Twitch wouldn't let me say pound cake. It's a pound cake. How are you, Glay? Welcome in. Yeah, I had to make it a Bundt cake. I'm making a liar of myself here. It's beyond your bedtime. Have fun with the fun. Sleep well, Ragnarok. Thank you for checking in and hanging out for a little bit. I don't know Demon's Run. I've never heard of it. That whole arc was amazing. No, I don't know that. I don't know that arc. Yeah, no, Aeon, like literally, I tried to say specifically because the recipe is a pound cake, okay? It is a pound cake. And Twitch was like, we don't think that this title is appropriate because of the word pound. So I had to change it to Bundt cake, but it is not a Bundt cake. It is a pound cake, Twitch. I had a little bit of a rant earlier about it. Twitch would write, Jessica, you need to watch this, dear Jesus. Hi, Clover, welcome in. Listen, Aeon, there are so many things that I have not seen. Does the embroidering, she made it for their unknown, not for herself, so the baby would always know her name. You don't love us anymore, Aeon? Listen, you can ask Seamus how much stuff I haven't seen. You can ask Seamus about that. You can ask Seamus about how much I haven't seen because it's a lot. On my list of things that I still need to watch is Willow, which Epic reminds me of every now and then of, have you watched Willow yet? And then she usually tells Seamus that he needs to get on that and make sure I watch it. Haven't seen Willow. I have not watched most of Lord of the Rings because I got very sick during the first one at the end. So I haven't seen most of that. What other cult classics? I haven't seen Die Hard. Trying to think. I only watched Star Wars because I lost a bet. So I've seen most of Star Wars, but not all of Star Wars, and Spaceballs is way better. So the real mystery is who and where the baby of River and the 13th Doctor is. Gotcha. Your favorite line from Willow? Here, peck, peck, peck. Thank you for the lurk, Dova. Willow has aged pretty well, too. I've heard that, Opal. Yeah, I've not seen brownies. Just saw Smokey and the Bandit on Friday. It was pretty good. I've never seen Smokey and the Bandit, Luna. Never seen it. I don't think I wanted you to know. I don't think I want to know. Only so much free I can handle in a day. Yeah, but I mean, I've seen other cult classics. Like, I've seen Down Periscope, hilarious. I've seen Blazing Saddles, hilarious. I've seen Romancing the Stone, hilarious. I've seen The Princess Bride, quintessential. Okay, I've seen that one. I know The Princess Bride. I've seen it many times. It's one of the few movies I can quote. I've seen Spaceballs. I've seen Robin Hood Men in Tights, and I've seen the original Robin Hood. I don't remember them very well, but I've seen them. I have seen them. Seamus tried to show me Time Bandits, but I literally looked at him and I was like, I can't do this. I've seen The Labyrinth. I've seen Pan's Labyrinth. That was traumatizing. I've watched The Birds. The Birds and The Grudge are actually the only horror movies I've ever watched. Fun fact. And The Grudge was not scary. The Grudge was not scary. The Birds was. The Grudge was not. I've seen Yellowbeard. Classic. it will offend your modern senses, but it is a classic. I've seen Monty Python and the Holy Grail. I've not seen the Rocky Horror Picture Show. I've not. You remember Romancing the Stone Opal? It's so good. Princess Bride is your favorite movie, and you compare all of their movies to it. Princess Bride is like the perfect movie. Okay, it is like the perfect movie. It will forever stand the test of time. It has so many classic one-liners. It's so good. It is so good. I need to rewatch The Princess Bride. It's been too long. I know you, Daikini. I stole a baby from you while you were taking a pee-pee. Dr. Crusher from Star Trek The Next Generation did the choreography for Labyrinth under a pen. Really, Red Wing? That's cool. That's cool. I did not know that. Dr. Crusher, I had a crush on her when I was young. It's your standard. I understand that. What movie has on... That would be The Princess Bride, Poji. It literally is the perfect movie, right, Seamus? Beverly, your beloved. Oh, gorgeous. Gorgeous. Would definitely like bow down and smash. Oh my God. And I had such respect for her too, being the doctor. I loved Deanna Troi. I thought it was so interesting the way she helped people communicate. Data fascinated me. I loved Q. Q will forever be my favorite character. Like those I think were my top, and of course I liked Picard. Who didn't? Flight of the Navigator. I do not know that title. You are the man who killed my father. Prepare to die. Exactly, yep. I don't know Sequest. I don't know Sequest either. We got 45 seconds and then we're gonna tip this bad boy. So I should make space to tip it. Should make space to tip it. And once I tip it, we'll start making the glaze. Because once it gets out of this, it will be much easier to get it to cool down. Now they say to tip it directly onto the cake plate, but we are not doing that because using a cooling rack will make this so much easier. I've not seen Jaws. Never cared for Dr. Crusher. The only 3 women I loved in Star Trek were Uhura, Seven of Nine, and Jadzia Dax. I know Uhura. I don't know the rest. Fave line from Worf: Romulan ale should be illegal. Worf was so good. I did like Worf's character. Cisco calling Jadzia old man. Such good stuff. Such good stuff. How did we even get on to nerding out, you guys? I love it, but I don't remember how we got here. All right, let's set this on top like so. Scooch to the edge so I can get my hand under it. Beautiful. Gorgeous. Gorgeous. I'm gonna put this on the stove because this is still hot and there's not a lot of room in the sink, so it can continue to cool over on the stove where it's not gonna be in the way of anything. A perfect dump. I love it when that happens. Beautiful. Now this has to cool, so that can sit there. 7 of 9 was the former Borg from Voyager. Jadzia Dax was from Deep Space Nine. See, and I really only ever watched The Next Generation. So if it's beyond The Next Generation, I probably don't know it. I probably don't know it. All right. So we tipped the cake out. We're gonna get into the icing. I'm just adjusting where things are real fast to make this easier. Let me put the overhead cam back on. Jadzia eventually married Worf. Good for Worf. Good for Worf. So for the icing, we need powdered sugar, salt, lemon zest, lime zest, lemon juice, lime juice, water I can just get from the sink. So I need to get the powdered sugar out. I am short. I need my little steppy stool to get up in here. Powdered sugar. Also, it says to sift the powdered sugar. We're not sifting the powdered sugar. And if that surprises you, you haven't been here long enough. If you... Oh, it got swallowed by the ads. My apologies, Opal. I have not seen Jaws. I have not seen Jaws. You also got swallowed by the ads. I was mentioning that Jadzia marrying Worf is phenomenal. Being a symbiote must be rather disorienting with so many people in your head. I'm going to imagine yes. Yes? Yeah, no, I've never seen Jaws. I know, I'm committing a lot of sacrilege today. How much powdered sugar do we need? 2 cups. We're gonna need a bigger bowl than those. It's gotta be in the sink. The one that I want. Give me a second. It's gonna take me a moment to unbury what I'm looking for. This is the only struggle with like cooking and baking is you use all of the things. There it is. And then when you don't have a dishwasher, it fits funny. And so it's like a jigsaw puzzle to put it in, to let it dry, and it's a jigsaw puzzle to take it out, to use it again. This bowl will be big enough. All right, so we're basically just putting everything in here. 2 cups of powdered sugar. Yeah, I'll use this. Powdered sugar. When Dax went through all the past hosts. You love Dax? It's sounding like I need to watch the later series of Star Trek, is what it's sounding like. And the side stress from people on the station whenever Cisco would call her old man and her and him would just laugh. Oh boy. Oh boy. Yeah, you said it was Deep Space Nine or Voyager, Seamus? I should just go back and rewatch all of The Next Generation too. Because I never watched it in complete order. I started to actually right before Seamus and I got together, and then Seamus and I got together, and I was thoroughly distracted by having Seamus in my life. Seamus, you're a distraction. You hear that? Can I just blame my lack of seeing movies on Seamus at this point? I totally would have watched it, but Seamus and I got together, and I was distracted. I know that's not going to fly, because Seamus is going to be like, don't you dare. Don't you dare. You watched mostly Deep Space Nine. Okay, so Deep Space Nine is what I should look up. It's what I should look up. Two cups of powdered sugar. Yeah, I think it wants it sifted to make it, like, easier for the liquid to thin it. But let me tell you what. We're good. That is a lot of powdered sugar. It will condense. It will condense down with the liquid. So it'll be about half of this height once we get liquid in there. Hold on. Ugh. Sorry about that. Powdered sugar dust in the nose. Powdered sugar dust in the nose. 1/4 teaspoon of salt. I'm not measuring this. Good enough. It's probably closer to an eighth. Good enough. All right, we need the tablespoon of each of the zest, which is going to be like all of the rest of the lemon. Yep. But not of the lime. Nope, of the lime too. It's so fine. Okay. Get the zest in there, and then we need the juice. Gotta be careful with the lemon to not get any of the seeds. And I'm being careful while I pour this to let it like dissolve some of the sugar so it doesn't just go over the edge. And then we need the lime. Yeah, see, as it dissolves the sugar, it sinks. And then we're going to get water, tablespoon of water. And we're not going to use milk to make this icing, even though typically this style of icing would be made with milk, because the citrus will curdle the milk. So we start with that much liquid. I need a spoon. Spoon is helpful. It's very hard to stir without a spoon. Cisco was pretty good friends with Dax as the last host before Jadzia. I think his name was Curzon. TOS. The original series, The Next Generation, and Deep Space Nine are the best Star Trek shows. I can go with that. Like I said, I've only really seen The Next Generation, so I can't speak to the others. But I know they're all very beloved. I've heard really good things about Voyager, and I've heard that Picard is really good too. I realize also, by the way, that I'm making a little bit of a mess. Yeah, so we're gonna make this as thin as we want it. And I won't glaze it until I put it onto a cake plate, because I don't need the glaze to drip off onto the island. The cake plate can contain the glaze. I normally, by the way, wouldn't glaze. I would usually just do powdered sugar, but since this glaze is more than just powdered sugar and milk, I am making it, because it's going to impart some more of that tangy lemon liminess to it. Yeah, and see, that to me is still a little too thick, so I'm going to get another tablespoon of water. Because I would like this to be much thinner and more drizzly. This will be enough. You could go with it as thick as it was, for the record. I just don't want it that thick myself. And if you over-thin it, you can add, because like I may have actually over-thinned this a little bit, you can add some sugar back to it to re-thicken. Nope, it's starting to work its way in. I was seeing like the water sitting on the top. That's why I was saying I might have over-thinned it, but nope, we're good. It has gotten in there. So that's more what I like. Yeah, I like how easy that goes in. It doesn't leave an indent on the top at all. That's more my jam. Voyager, I'll fight you. Voyager was good too, just not your top 3. That's fair. Gotta have a top 3. I love the fact that the first person to welcome Voyager back at the end of the series played Howling Mad Murdoch on the A-Team. The A-Team! Phenomenal. Murdoch, amazing. I still wonder if he was actually like crazy or if it was a ploy. What a good show. Oh my gosh. Classic. A-Team and MASH. Alan Alba. There's another one of my younger celebrity crushes. Young Alan Alba. So easy on the eyes. So easy on the eyes. Yes. Yes, please. These in the sink. Goodness gracious. You know, for somebody who really doesn't know celebrities, I have a select set of celebrities that I actually know. I'm realizing this now. These can go in the sink. Put the salt away. Slide this somewhat into frame. Alan Alda. Thank you, Opal. You knew who I was talking about, though. Boss at the barn gave me Radar. He seemed a bit surprised I knew the reference for that. Did you know, I found out recently that Radar was an accomplished drummer. He dive bombed the Pentagon on purpose, so it'd be easier for him to rest between eight. That's kind of what I figured. His flying was so bad, though, that it gave Behaporacus flight phobia. The flight phobia, though, was so funny. I probably was messing it up with Jessica Alba. You're probably right. I pity the fool. God, the A-Team. And you know what's really sad is, as far as I can tell, only the first season was really super good. I think I started watching the second season and they got rid of the reporter girl, if I remember right. Like somebody else was coming in and it kind of took away from the series, I think. But the first season was phenomenal. I've seen the entirety of that. I have. How are we doing on temperature? Still pretty warm. Gonna need a bit. Yeah, no, A-Team was top notch. MASH was top notch. I should really watch MASH from start to finish. I know the last episode is so bittersweet of MASH. I just really like older television compared to modern. And in the opening credits, they paid homage to Dirk Benedict's other cult role. What was the other cult role? Because I don't know a lot of these things. It seems like this is your set of knowledge, Red Wing. If you have access, I highly recommend watching Shrinking. I've never heard of Shrinking, Kags. I've never heard of Shrinking. What is Starbuck in the OG? So I've never watched Battlestar Galactica. I have seen bits and pieces of it because my mom enjoyed Battlestar Galactica, but I've never actually watched that one. I've heard it's phenomenal. I've heard it's really good. Speaking of that, I have also seen, what was it, Journey Quest? Galaxy Quest? Might have been Galaxy Quest. Seamus had me watch, and that was fantastic for a movie. Galactica was amazing back in the 80s, and I bet it had all of the 80s campiness. The 80s had like a very specific kind of campiness to them, right? Where it just, it had its own charm. It had its own charm. And I say this having watched Encino Man. You want a movie that's just like WTF did I just watch and for some reason enjoy? Watch Encino Man. Cylon walks in front of him. Interesting. Yeah, I don't know Battlestar Galactica, so I know how MASH ends and I consider it part of your curse knowledge. If you know, you know. Yeah, I'm pretty sure I have like seen the ending of MASH, like a little bit of it, and I know it's very, very bittersweet. Synopsis of Shrinking. Comedy drama following Jimmy Laird, a therapist grieving his wife's death who begins breaking ethical boundaries by telling his patients exactly what he thinks, causing massive, often positive changes in their lives. Mentored by Paul and supported by Gabby, he navigates messy, emotional, and comedic situations while attempting to reconnect with his daughter. That sounds so funny, Kags. But also like Harrison Ford, adore him. The Indiana Jones movies, fantastic. And I am one of the ones that feels like, even though the Crystal Skull, the fourth one, really doesn't fit with a lot of the lore of Indiana Jones, I really liked it. I thought it was a fun movie, and I really liked how they introduced him having a son, and I normally don't like that trope, but it was so damn funny. The interactions were so damn funny, I could forgive it. Fast Times at Ridgemont High. Don't know that one, Seamus. Don't know that one. It's so good. Some episodes hurt, but it's really well done show. I'll have to give it a try. Because I need more stuff in my life to occupy my brain. I have gotten back into reading, but late at night I can't read because I just am like, one more chapter, and then suddenly the book is done and it's 7 in the morning and it's definitely not night anymore, and I'm like, well, I'm screwed on doing literally anything that I planned on doing. I have a little bit more self-control with shows or what have you, especially if they're episodic, because the episode is over. I don't need to see what happens next. I'm good. I can stop. That was what I was doing with House for a while. House MD. Chip and Dale were dressed as two 80s icons on purpose for Chip and Dale's Rescue Rangers. I love that, Red Wing. First time Indy hooked up with Mary and she was 15. That is... What? What? Oh, well, that I did not know. I just assumed that everybody in all of the movies were adults portraying adults. But I'm pretty sure those movies were made in like the 70s or the 80s, and times were scandalous back then. That's true. It was set in the 1930s, so it would have been less taboo. That is also fair, Seamus. That is fair. That's why she's so mad at him when he turns up. Also fair. Also fair. Yikes. Temple of Doom came out in late 1981. Okay, yeah. So I had my timeline roughly correct. Roughly correct. I did, though. I loved the father-son interactions. This is going to take a little bit to cool down. We're still pretty warm. And for dessert, chilled monkey brains. Delicious. Chilled monkey brains. I'll pass. I'll pass when I have this beautiful cake right here. I only know that because you were technically there, but not born yet. Interesting, Opal. Asps. Very dangerous. You go for... Yeah. Indiana's dislike of snakes. Fantastic. I'm right there with him. I'm right there with him. Yeah. Those were good movies. Those were good movies. I enjoyed them. I enjoyed them immensely. And again, they're very iconic. They're very, very iconic. See, I have seen some of the iconic movies, just not most of them. My mom saw it when she was about 7 months along, which is developed enough that I could probably hear it. The in utero thing is so fascinating, Opal. I see what you're saying now. I see what you're saying. That's really cool. That's really cool. So here's the thing. I kind of want to move this to a cake plate and get at least the icing on it and call it good. But the icing is gonna like really run off of it because it's warm. It's not gonna want to set up. I need to just be patient. The ADHD impatience is coming out right now. I really just want this to be cool so I can put the icing on it and consider it done. So here's the thing though. Unless we end up talking for like another 2 hours, which I highly doubt since it is 8 o'clock at night, this is not going to be cool enough to slice tonight. This is definitely going to be tomorrow's dessert. It is going to be tomorrow's dessert. Sorry, Seamus. Put it on the porch for a few. Maybe if I had a spot. Raiders of the Lost Ark was 1981. Temple of Doom was 84. Broke some holes into it so that the icing goes into the cake more. I'm hesitant with a Bundt cake because some of it is the presentation of the top of it. Literal fetus and only knew the story secondhand. Yep. Yep. God, I miss being a fetus, and you want to know why? 0 responsibilities. And 0 cares. I had no fucks to give and no responsibilities to worry about. Not that I can remember being a fetus, but it's funny to think about. It's funny to think about. I do have to go out on the porch though to get the cake plate for this. Because I have my beautiful standing white one, but here's the thing. The standing white one is about the same width, diameter as this cake. And what will happen is I will drizzle the icing on it and then it will drip off of the cake plate. So I need my crystal one. I call it crystal because it looks like crystal. It's really cut glass. And that will pool it on the bottom. Hi, Brutus. Welcome in. It smells amazing. It is cooling presently before we put icing on it. You should smell it. Yeah. So it didn't sound so snarky. It happens. Thank you for the follow. I appreciate it. Okay, so this is funny. The zest is all floating to the top. It's like separating out of the icing. That is hilarious. We have it all made. It just needs to cool enough that I can put it on. Bundt cake yum, right? Welcome in, Aspinator. I hope you're doing well. I hope you're doing fantastic. My ASD brain means I'm a trivia. Hey, there's nothing wrong with that. Sick invite. My autistic ass loves emos for conveying You know what though, Opal? My possibly autistic ass, I have no idea, I'm not diagnosed, also likes emotes for conveying intention with text, or just like the LOL or the little less than 3 hearts or whatever, because it's like, I'm not mad at you, please don't take it as mad. So I always try to put something to soften the blow because I feel like I'm too blunt. I can call you Aspie. You got it. I'll try to remember that. Oh, that's cute. That's a cute emote. The little buttons. It took Opal a moment to realize why. Opal got there in the end. Just noticed your name, yeah. Yep. Yeah, and it like the outside is okay. It's the inside. Cause the heat can pool there. Let me get my cake plate. Because that inside's gonna take forever. And the cake plate lives out here. It's buried under shit. And by shit, I mean other baking accoutrements. cleaning this porch is among the to-do list for this spring/summer once it's warm up. It's a 3-season porch, so you can't be out there in the winter without wanting to just die. It's a beautiful cake plate though, isn't it? It's so pretty. And all the cuts is on this side, so this surface is flat. We're just, like, these cuts are out here, but these ones are underneath. It's a beautiful design. It's beautiful. Stunning. Right? This was my late grandmother's on my dad's side. So when she passed away, it was among the things that my family was like, this is yours now. Both under the same umbrella, yeah. Get a fan, if only. If only, Brutus. So we're not frosting it per se. We have icing. We have icing to drizzle on it. And to move the cake, I think this was Nordic Ware. We have a giant cake spatula to slide under it so that I can actually get under it and get it up onto the plate. Pound cakes are heavy. There we go. There we go. She can get under these nuts. Hi, Bubbly. Give yourself a these nuts command. With good reason, yeah. Go back to overhead cam. Rescue Rangers 1 was made to look like Indiana Jones. 1 was made to look like OG Magnum Pie. All that was missing was the Detroit Tigers cap. Oh my gosh. Ayo, 169, yeah. Yeah, you definitely don't have to change your name. I think Opal's just explaining why it's not, like, name-wise fine, used in the Spectrum community, not typical. All right. So there's our icing. I have remixed the zest back in. It's time to drizzle this bad boy. It will dry down clear for the most part. And I've got plenty of it, so I'm not holding back. And it's going to be all over the cake plate, and some of it may end up on the island, but I'm trying my best to not end up with a lot of it on the island. All right. Yeah, there's such a pool of it forming in the center. But the cake itself should absorb some of what's pooling in the center. We should have like a nice gooey centery area, which I love that about Bundt cake sometimes when the center doesn't 100% caramelize on the outside and you get that little bit of gooiness. I like that personally. And this is also why I thinned it out. You can see how it's spreading into more of a nice glaze than staying thick and lumpy. Yeah, it's getting on the island. I see it. I see it on the island. I need a little bit more over here where it wasn't quite completely covering. I definitely got a little more heavy-handed as I went.
Tiny bit more. Beautiful. Beautiful. That is a well-glazed cake, and I am also slightly well-glazed. It dripped down the side of the bowl. Into the water. Rinse the sugar off of my hands. That's gorgeous. That is gorgeous. The fact that the island needs a little cleaning, not so gorgeous, but it is gorgeous. Have a good night, Aspinator. Aspie, have a good one. Got mad when I first saw the Rescue Rangers cartoon because the hat was missing. Your grandpa thought you were ranting about it. It was adorable. I believe it. We're doing good, Bubbly. How about you? You're very sleepy. Oh my gosh. The time change is a killer. Time change is a super killer. I do not appreciate the time change. You got it, Nova. That's our cake, though. That is our cake. We have completed it. Like I said, it's going to have to sit a while longer before now you can really see where it's just pooling down onto the island. We're going to have to let it sit for a while more before I can actually cut into it and try it. So this is as far as we can go. I don't know how well I feel about having put the zest in there because it's made the top like bumpy and weird, but you know, I followed the directions. I followed the directions. And that's the important part. So at this point, it's time for me to go once more back into the desktop area. We can have our last little bits of chitter chatter. I'm jealous of BC. I know. We all need to stop, Cags. We all need to stop. So I'll meet you back in at the desktop. We can chatter for a little bit and, you know, find a place to go hang out because it is 8:15 at night. And I do have to respect the fact that the work week starts in the US and North American continent tomorrow. So be right back. Okay, switch the captions back over one more time. For the most part, the captions usually stay right here, so I only have to do this here and there. Tom Selleck, the original Magnum Pie, was part of the Detroit Tigers farm system before he started acting, so some form of the Tigers logo has shown up in every TV show he's done. That's cool. Absolutely, Dova. I had a lot of fun with this, and I had a lot of fun with the nerd chatter. Like, I adore that we get into those topics. I really do. I really do, because they're fun, they're light, they're easily digestible. You can laugh at my lack of knowledge because I don't mind not knowing a lot of pop culture references. It's just not, it's not what I really latched onto growing up. But if you get into some niche things, and I will talk your ear off about it. I will talk your ear off about it. I think we all have those things though, right? That we just, that niche knowledge that we just know. That we just know. Even shows up in the background of Blue Blood. I know the title Blue Bloods, but I don't know anything about Blue Bloods. It's one of those things. It's one of those things. God, who is even on at this point? Normally on a Sunday, I'm done a little earlier than this. But again, we started late. A lot of shit was going on, and I have all of that stuff to go back to deal with. Queen of useless random knowledge. You'd be great at a trivia night, though, Dova. You'd be great at a trivia night. Like, that's the way I think of it. I may not have all of the worldly knowledge that I feel like I should possess, but man, can I do a good job at trivia night sometimes. If you get into my topic. American history, maybe I know a bit. Elden Ring, got a few hours. Exactly, Dova. Exactly. And every now and then it pops up, right? It pops up that that sort of thing is happening. So, you never know where it'll come in handy. You never know where it'll come in handy. You must watch a lot of Gremmy Grem, hopefully, Dova, because he has mainly become an Elden Ring streamer. Song lyrics, that's your job, Bubbly. I love that. Seamus knows a whole lot about American history. I have specific time periods of American history that I'm very knowledgeable on. I love a lot of scientific things. That's your jam. That makes more sense. I love Grem, but you're not a follower. Oh, yeah. Grem has become mainly an Elden Ring streamer. Mainly an Elden Ring streamer. Song lyrics in space. Also, for any horror fans, the ashtray from Father's Day segment shows up in all segments of the movie, even the wraparound story and Creepshow. See, I don't know any of these movies. I don't know any of these movies. Are we sure this is everybody who's on? Because sometimes, Twitch, you don't actually show me the right people. Sometimes you don't actually show me the right people. Let's see. Yeah, some of these people weren't showing up before. On the bus one evening, I overheard people talking Elden Ring, and they completely were getting Marika's backstory wrong and took all of my everything to not just jump in randomly. Oh, but you could have made some new friends, Dova, if you jumped in. But I also understand not jumping in because I would have had all of the social anxiety about it. Like, all of it. I also need to do that, do that. Dun, 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 dun. Are you still not? Oh, I have to click this button. Twitch, you make it so difficult. You make it so difficult to do the thing. It's not that difficult, but you make it that difficult. Who all is around? You would love the OG Creepshow movie. It was George A. Romero and Stephen King homage to the horror comic books of the 1950s. Interesting. I've read a little bit of Stephen King. Anything dealing with the tectonic plates, earthquakes like your dad was. Oh, yeah. There you go, Bubbly. There you go. That is a very niche part of science, but it's a good part of science. It's a very good part of science. I don't know what Temtem is. A lot of DBD tonight. A lot of Phasmo tonight. I was hoping that one of my other cooking or... Oh! Did I follow you for cooking and baking, or did you just decide to do it? How did I find this person? Your favorite part of science is anatomy? I know a good deal about anatomy. I know a really good deal about anatomy because I had to be a massage therapist. And I do truly love anatomy. It is one of my favorite things. Okay, I don't remember why I followed this person. Don't you hate it? Like, you found somebody and then you can't remember why you found somebody? But it happens. It does happen. You may have to lurk his stream soon. Absolutely, Dova. He hasn't been able to stream for a little bit because family. He's been dealing with his kiddos and they've been a little bit more needing of his attention. But yes, I think you would greatly enjoy it. Told my mom how much I love space and earth science, and she was like, yep, you are your father's daughter. 100% Bubbly. and we all have that parent we take after more, right? I greatly take after my mother for general temperament and like organizing parts of my life. My dad is definitely much more the chaotic side, but when it comes to my love of history and nature, that's all my dad. That is all my dad. Took classes and attunements for Reiki. I am a Reiki master teacher. So I've got that under my belt as well. I take after my grandfather on mostly everything. Oh, your grandfather. Now that's fascinating too. That's fascinating too. Where am I going to take you guys tonight? This is the hardest part. Like, I can't even plan in advance for where I want to take you guys because I never know what's going to be going on at any given moment in time or how long these streams are going to last to know where to look to be going. And then I get decision paralysis. Like one does. Take us to Funky Town? Oh my gosh, Mary, right? Right? That's a good song. That is a good song. You know what? This is kind of baking adjacent. Spin the Phasmobile and just go to a random place. Yeah, right? Parents had too many issues, so you didn't take on any of their personality traits. That's fair. That's fair. At least you had somebody to be a role model in your life, because sometimes that is not the case, and that's really sad. So at least you did have somebody to be a role model. You guys, we're going to go visit Rollig. Rollig is playing Plate Up, which is cooking the game, essentially. It really, Plate Up is more about automation, I think, than making the recipes. But it's fun. It's a lot of fun. So if you're not in the Discord, there's the Discord. It's a great place to be. It's where we hang out between streams. It's where you will be able to get my schedule. It's where I will let you know if I'm running late. Things are time-stamped in there to your time zone so that you can see it more easily than having to make the conversion from Eastern Standard. All of my recipes that I use are in there. So if you want to make the thing that I've made, the Discord has it all. Socials, if you would like to check me out elsewhere outside of Twitch, you do not have to, but I always appreciate the support. In particular, YouTube gets long form content as a special little tantalizing thing, and my Instagram has my pole dance videos, because I am getting back into pole dance. I am renewing my ability to partake in that particular exercise. So while I'm having fantastic fun and I'm greatly enjoying all of your company, I do need to respect the fact that it has been almost 4 hours. I would like to take the apron off. I need to clean my kitchen. It is 8:30 in the evening, and I have some YouTube stuff to take care of copyright-wise. So we're going to go say hello to Rollig. If you are subscribed, that first raid message with the mandalas is for you. If you're not subscribed, the second one with the hearts is what you want to grab. I would appreciate you coming over on this raid. It means a lot to me. It means a lot to the person who gets raided. I love you, Nova. Thank you for being here. I appreciate everybody who is here tonight. Good night to you as well, Opal. Thank you guys again, whether you lurked, followed, raided, chatted, subscribed, resubscribed, dropped bits, dropped a D's nuts joke. I see you out here, bubbly. We're just otherwise an awesome, wholesome, nerdtastic human being. Like, however you chose to be here, however you chose to participate, you did. And I really appreciate that fact. So let's take this on over to Rollig. I will be back tomorrow for some Phasmophobia. And in the meantime, friends, make sure you take a moment to practice some self-care. Look yourself in the mirror and tell yourself that you love you, because you matter. Have a great one.